Welcome back to Half a Clue, everyone. A week-to-week podcast where every single week Ronald brings up The Simpsons, and Phillip compares something to a Korean film, Jason does his best, and I bring up outdated television shows. On this week's episode, we're going to be talking about Moonlight and, what's it called?
But I'm a
Cheerleader. I guess we should introduce ourselves. I forgot that segment. I'm Blake.
I'm Jason.
I'm Ron.
I'm Phillip.
And, yeah, it should be a pretty fun and exciting show. But first, what have you all been watching? Because I've got a kind of a fun one of my own.
I've been watching Moonlight, but I'm a cheerleader, actually. No, I think, you might want to cut this out because I don't have anything else.
No, that's staying in. Phillip, what have you been watching?
What's it called? I should have a lie. Jason, you go first.
I recently started watching Mad Men, which I'm really enjoying. I'm like a little over halfway through the first season, and I'm digging it. What's interesting is, like, nothing's really happening, but I still like it. It's, I mean, all the performances are fantastic. John Hamm's great. But yeah, have you guys watched it?
Oh yes, yeah, I've watched it a few times. In my opinion, it's like has some of the best dialogue in television like that I've seen. Like it's because, like you said, nothing is really happening. Like they're just literally just going around, business people doing business stuff, really, and it's just people going about their lives, but it's somehow like super interesting.
Yeah,
it's been on my watch list for like 5 years.
I would actually disagree with that. There's actually quite a bit that happens in every episode.
Well, yeah,
but it's just like not like it's not like a continuous storyline or anything. There are things that plotline does to continue, but like the stakes aren't as dramatic as like something like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it's entirely character driven.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's really fun. And I don't know, just like that great window into like the 60s, like in this like such a particular like, you know, such a contentious time in like American history and culture, and seeing the transfer from the early 60s, which was basically the 50s, into the 60s, which was like a huge shift, and like seeing everything change.
Yeah, and from what I understand, like it's like they tried real hard to make sure everything was as accurate as possible, and I really appreciate that because it feels like you're living in this fucking world.
Yeah,
it's great.
I heard that they even would look up what the weather was like in different days for each episode. Yeah, they're like, oh, it's raining on this day. It's snowing.
Is that level of detail?
Yes, that like
I don't know. It's not necessary, but like every little bit like adds to it. Like
I agree to a certain extent. Yeah, the details are great. I'm not saying that, but the fucking weather on that
would. But think about it. If it was hot, then like you have the characters in the background sets kind of go like this. If it's cold, it
adds the tension. Yeah. It's like there's like there was a huge summer heat wave at this time, and there was smog like going crazy in the city, and it's like people talking about it in the office and stuff. It's like it's exactly what people do. Like even today, they're just like, man, it's fucking hot out here. You know, like whatever. Super interesting. Yeah.
Or probably like I also know like they look up like what songs are at the top of the Nielsen charts or something, and then they would bring that up, like kind of like with the one episode with the Beatles song.
Yeah, it's all about the culture of the time, right? Like it's like there's the news, there's like whatever's happening in the movies, like they're talking
the JFK
about
Nixon thing, and then they talk about Exodus in that one episode. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's like it really is just a glimpse into that time period, and I'm digging it for sure. No spoilers though. I'm not even done with season 1.
Yeah, I know it's dope. Like there's an episode where they go when Planet of the Apes comes out, and then they're like talking about it, like that was a trip. Huh? Like it's dope. Like yeah, man, let's go back and watch it again. Like it's fun. What have you been watching, Phillip?
I've been watching Simpsons actually. It's season 2. I'm like just finished the episode. I finished the Treehouse of Horrors. Bart gets an F. And the latest episode I watched was a Dancing Homer episode.
Oh, that's
the one where like he's like, you know, he's a big I know he's like a big like dancing mascot for, you know, Springfield and stuff. But once he gets into the big city, they're like, "What are you doing?" And then he gets back, and that was great. I've been enjoying it, watching it steadily. It's harder for me to watch something that's like not necessarily like continuous storyline, but it's a nice little like, you know, like almost like a breakfast thing. Like watch.
Yeah, it's good to just throw on every now and then. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like it's like we're eating dinner or something. We're just chilling out at the end of the day. Yeah, let's throw on an episode. And season 2 especially is very like it's probably their most like sentimental season, where there's a lot of like real plucking at heartstrings episodes. You know, at the end of every episode, it's like it's kind of like very. Like very sweet and like homely and stuff, but they definitely diverge from that, but it totally works because it gets goofier. It's great.
And then in this season, well, at least from what I watched so far, there was one episode where Homer gets hair.
Yeah.
And then at the end, like the guy, like his life coach is like, "You got this." He's like, "You're the best person possible," and slaps his ass. But then at the end, Marge is the one to like comfort and everything, and that was great. It was really heartwarming. I like it a lot. It's I'm like slowly getting into the Simpsons fandom, and the new fandom that I just recently got into was and I started getting into it because Netflix just announced one like a live action film adaptation of this series, and they're gonna have a new Netflix special continuing the storyline for the anime. It's the Gundam series.
Oh, Gundam.
Yeah, I know. And then,
I've literally only watched like the beginning of the first episode of the series, but I want to get into it because it looks dope.
Yeah, I would recommend like the first Gundam, like there's the main storyline you see. I'm not gonna get too into it because I get like it's like there's a fucking 2-hour Crunchyroll video that talks about the timeline. You guys can go watch that instead. But the main storyline that like it has like a continuity and everything's fact checked called the UC, and from there they have a whole continuity list of what to watch. And the first one I would recommend to watch is Gundam. I think it's like UC the Origins, Advent of the Red Comet, which is about Charles Nabel, who was like this cool. He's a cool like technically anti-hero character who works for the enemy side, but he has a cool backstory, and he has his not Gundam, it's his mech, which is this red. This is super identifiable, super fast, super cool. And it gives context to the original series, which I'm watching right now. But it's super complicated because the original series, because it just failed in the US, they had to re-edit it into 3, dumb Americans can enjoy films. and those are the ones how Americans watched it and understood it. And those have new animation, and it's so weird. And people recommend watching the series than those films, so it's like a lot of watching.
How many seasons are there?
There's only one season of 42 episodes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I would recommend watching The Origin. That actually came out 2015.
The Origins?
Yeah, The Origins. And then the one that I'm watching, because what the place after that, it came out in 1979.
Okay.
But it has a charming visual style to it. Like, everything's hand-drawn and it's really nice.
Super old-school anime, right?
Yeah,
yeah. It's like there's so many things that, like, harken back to that, right?
Yeah, and it has, there's, in the first episode, Amuro Ray, who's, the main character. He goes, hold on, and then the screen goes black and white. He goes, hold on, Charzu! It's great. And also, the last thing I've been watching is Bo Burnham's Inside. It's great. Watch it.
Yeah, I want to watch that.
Yeah.
I've been watching All Tomorrows, or, watching this video where they broke it down, and it's super fascinating. A book about, the future of humanity, right? It takes place over the course of I think 1 billion years, where it starts off where humanity basically seeds life all over the planet. We've kind of grown beyond a lot of the pettiness between humans and everything, but there's evidence of these creatures, these other aliens called the Q, who eventually do interact with humanity, and there's this big war that happens, and
it sounds like Star Trek.
Oh yeah, but where it gets really crazy is that once the Q wins, they take the human genome and our genetics and completely fuck with it. They alter us into all different kinds of animals.
Nice. Into
all different kind. It's super horrific and really eerie. Honestly, if you're interested in it, there's the whole video on Alt
kind
Shift
of got
X.
me interested in it.
Yeah, the book is full of illustrations, also done by C.M. Kozman, who's the writer. And it depicts and describes in real detail about what's it called, speculative biology, which is basically all right, how would different animals survive on different planets and different kind of ecosystems and everything, and not just that, but they were humans, so it's it's creepy. You get that kind of body horror stuff where the human body is just contorted and made into all kinds of really fucked up swimming creatures, little burrowing people, flying stuff, and it's super, it's very eerie, but also a lot of it's about the journey of humanity going out and rediscovering their consciousness and stuff. It's fascinating.
What's it called, and where can you watch it?
It's called All Tomorrows, and Alt Shift X just recently dropped a video last week about it where they do this whole breakdown of the books, and it's really cool.
Okay,
and they have
it's books, right? It's also
it's a book.
Oh,
I definitely am gonna get the book because again, the illustrations I think are what really makes it too, because they look so creepy and weird, but it's super fascinating.
Weren't you also reading Uzumaki's? No, is it Uzumaki? It's Uzumaki, right?
Yeah, Uzumaki,
Yeah.
the Joji Ito horror graphic novels, the manga, where it's all about like, again, very, very creepy like body horror stuff. I'm into that, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's very creepy. Like, it's just the ideas that they seed are just like, this town, like, this is just one example. Like the town in Japan gets plagued by a symbol, like a shape, right? It's a spiral, infects this town. Yeah, exactly. And it's basically like somehow like it worms its way into every part of these people's lives. Again, like their surroundings, like their actual bodies and everything. And it's great. That's another one. You have to actually read the books and look at the illustrations, because they really make it what it is. Yeah.
You know they're making an anime for that.
Yeah, that sounds interesting, but I think I really hope that it's black and white.
No, it's black and white. Adult Swim. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So,
oh, yes, I did. I saw a teaser for that.
Yeah, there's a weird, like, he has a weird chain on his thing. He's like, he's doing this while they're new.
Super creepy.
Japanese people are weird. What's it called? All right, so let's get on to
no one asked me what I've been watching.
What have you been watching?
I'm just kidding. What are you watching, Blake?
Well, I know that I've brought this up every week. I've brought this up, I think, every single episode. I'm well on the tracks of just doing a Lost rewatch.
Oh, no.
So I just want to preface this with, I think I have like a bit of like a Lost problem. Because here's what happens to me every time, Maybe someone I know is watching Lost, or maybe someone brings it up in public or something, and then it's like, okay, whatever. And I kind of ignore it. A week later, I'm like, I don't know, Lost. I start thinking about it. I start talking about it with friends and family. I'm like, hey, remember that episode where like Ben's like crucified, basically? Or I'll be like, hey, you remember like that one scene? And then the next step is a couple weeks later, I'll be like on the subreddit, and I'll be like looking at like fan art and drawings, and I'm like, oh no, well, it's fine. I'm just looking, I'm just browsing, that's all.
Mm-hmm.
And then before I know it,
I don't need it.
Before I know it, I'm like watching Lost clips. That's where I am right now. Like, I'm looking up like my favorite scenes, and I'm just watching them, and then I'm like reading the comments on YouTube about like why people like these scenes. And then before you know it, like my girlfriend finds me in my room, like she's like, oh my god, is that Lost on TV right now? I'm like, no, it's not what it looks like. But for real, like, I'm probably gonna have to do a Lost rewatch. I'm watching clips.
Okay, to be clear, the person who's always bringing up Lost stuff is you. So
I would like to bring up.
You interject in
it's
every
not
conversation.
always me. I do compare a lot of things to Lost. Me and Jason have worked together several times, and one time I was having a bad day. He like walked up to me to like kind of comfort me, and I was like, "Oh man, this is just like that episode of Lost where."
It happened way more than just that one time. You do that all the fucking time. And you'll reference, like, this was just like in season 4, episode 8. And I'm just like, no one cares. Man.
I don't know what it is. I really don't. I don't know why Lost has this grasp on me, but it does. I've watched it.
That great.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. It's not a good show. I think I've watched it like maybe 6 times in full, which is kind of a lot.
That is a lot. I like Lost too. I enjoyed it, but
go watch Gundam instead.
I watched it like one time when it was airing at the time, and it really did stick with me. I'll give it that. Like it a lot of it does.
I tapped out like season 4. I think I was just like, I can't do this anymore. This is way too fucking stupid.
We're covering it.
I haven't watched Lost since the series finale.
That's the appropriate answer.
I would actually watch it. I would be down if we ever do a Lost supersized episode to do one rewatch.
I've thought about it,
and that's it.
I've thought about it. I think we'd have to do 2 seasons per episode.
Wow.
Like,
you really want to kill us.
Well, we could just do like a week where we just record a bunch. I don't know. Oh, I don't know. I just think that it would be.
How many seasons are there total?
6.
Yeah. And there's like 25 episodes a season.
The later seasons aren't as much.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
But yeah, I'm like in stage 4 of my Lost cycle. It's a cycle that never ends. I'm watching clips, so I'm sure that I'll be on season 2 in no time.
Speaking of it being 24 episodes long, whatever happened to 20 episode seasons of TV shows?
That should be illegal.
But you still have that on broadcast
it's like
television.
CW shows and shit have that.
Yeah, but there's so many nowadays that just cut it down to like 10 or 8 episodes, and I'm like,
I think they're just trying to tell the best story possible.
I firmly believe there should be a law that says your TV show can't be longer than 5 seasons, and each like season should only be like 10 episodes max.
Tell that to Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, they're still going.
Tell it to The Simpsons. They're fucking
Supernatural.
5 seasons.
Yeah, Supernatural,
going,
that's another
yeah.
one. They're on like season, I don't know, something.
Yeah, it's so ultra rare for like any show to
Breaking Bad.
to be good and last longer than 5 seasons. You know, again, there's always those exceptions, Simpsons, but like you know, it's rare. Or even like
Mad Men.
I think.
Men.
Oh yeah, Mad
Mad
Men.
Men's
seasons.
what?
No,
Seven
seasons.
seasons?
Yeah. And I think they're pretty solid through like the entire time. The end there's a little bit of flakiness there, but like for the most part, pretty fucking great. Yeah, but it's rare as fuck. Or shows like Star Trek, they reboot the whole thing, right? Or they kind of spin it off and you know they do Next Generation, and that's great because that's the next evolution of the show.
To be fair, the Next Generation took a while to get good, and then it was bad again at the end. There's like this sweet point, like seasons 3 through 6 that are really good, and then sucks everything else. But when Star Trek's bad, it's still fun. I still enjoy
When
it.
Lost is bad, it's still fun. Have you seen the fight between Jack and John where they're like jumping off the cliffs to like punch each other? It's awful, but it's great.
All right, we should probably go to the topic.
We should probably
at
get
hand.
to the topic, yeah.
All right. The first movie we will be covering today, ladies and gentlemen, will be Moonlight, directed by Barry Jenkins and written by Barry Jenkins, based on a story and a play by Tyrell Alvin McCraney, which is autobiographical Moonlight Black Boys Look Blue. It's a film about Chiron and it covers 3 different aspects of his life when he was when he was a little kid, when he was in high school, and in his adult life, and explains generally his sexual orientation, his relationship with his mom, and also relationship with particularly this other character, Kevin. And spoilers ahead, we will get real nitty gritty into the movie. So overall, you guys, what's your, based on, have you guys seen this movie before? And or this is your first time? And if you guys have, what changed on your second viewing on watching it?
So I've been trying to watch this movie for like since it came out. Or
Can't believe you haven't seen it.
Blake.
You don't get to talk about any of that, Blake. You
I
haven't
know.
seen like anything.
You haven't seen The Exorcist.
Blake, you gave me the copy of Moonlight.
No,
Whoa! Sorry.
Guns drawn.
Oh my god, it's heartbreaking.
Sorry. Phillip
For a
gave
second,
me,
I was like, I did it.
Phillip gave me a copy of Moonlight back in the day, like right when it came out, and I was like, yeah, I'll watch it. I still have that copy, and I watched it, but I watched it on Vudu. I didn't watch it. I didn't even watch the physical copy.
What, to be fair, it's the digital copy of the Blu-ray I gave you.
Also,
so I
to
guess
be
in a way,
fair,
yeah.
Okay.
Also, to be fair, a little off topic, but in the same vein, I gave you a Blu-ray that you held on to for like 6 months and never watched it and give it back.
Which one?
The Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Oh yeah, no, that was a year. That was a full year because you gave it to me like.
I gave it to you the day I bought it.
Yeah, I forgot. You
No,
gave it to
even-
me like New Year's Day, and then like I gave it back to you the next New Year's. And that was great too. That's definitely a whole other discussion.
Back on topic.
No, I one up you on that. There's one Blu-ray I gave to him on the second year of us meeting. I got it. He knows what it is. He knows what it is. I just put it. It's like, okay, I know our friend Anthony. Bitches and moans by watching this every single fucking time. This one. Do you like the way he did this? Do you like the way he pulls his guns? And he talks about it as if it was like part of his second cock. But, and I gave this to you. Where is it now?
It's
What's the name of the title?
We're talking about Cowboy Bebop, okay? And I still got it. It's out there.
Ron, I'm never lending you anything.
That's probably a good idea. I like to watch things on my own time, and sometimes that might be years.
Let's talk movies.
Okay, so Moonlight. This was my first time watching it, and man, it's great. I really enjoyed it a lot.
What about you, Blake?
This is my third time watching it. I watched it. I don't want to come off as a hipster asshole or anything, but I did see this movie way before anybody knew about it.
Oh god.
No, I love it. I think it's my third time watching it. I think every time I've seen it since, I like it even more. And I would say that this is probably one of the best movies of its decade. Easily.
Oh, okay. What about you, Jason?
So the first time I watched this movie was the day of the Oscars of that year.
Oh.
And
That was kind of
I knew it was up. And I was like, okay, I'll watch it. It was on Amazon for free. So I was like, okay, I'll watch it. And I was fucking blown away. I loved it. And I was like, man, I really hope this wins. And then that whole shit show at the Oscars
we'll definitely get
happened.
into that.
I was so angry, and then I was so happy. Like, it was just a roller coaster of emotions that day. But The second time, I mean, not much changed. I didn't really think anything different other than this movie's fucking great. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
All right, now moving on to But I'm a Cheerleader. I'm just
All right, feelings wrapped.
So I have a special place for this film because this was one of the first screenings I went to watch in college.
because you grew up in Liberty City.
Yeah, I know.
Your gang life. This
exactly,
is
that's why. It's like me and Barry Jenkins, we lived across from the block in Miami. What's it called? No, but it was like what's it called? They brought the film over before it came out in theaters at UCLA, and then we just had like what's it called? We had the people coming there. We had my professors and talking.
Wait. So you probably saw this before Blake.
So,
shit!
It was like I already heard about it because I liked his other film, his first film, which was Medicine for Melancholy, which is like early 2000s or mid 2000s. But he hasn't made shit since.
For a director I really like, this is the only movie I've seen by him. Or for a movie I really like, I haven't watched anything else by the same director.
You haven't watched If Beale Street Could Talk?
No, and I've heard it's really good.
My
It's been on my watch list.
I'm gonna keep on doing this. I'm just kidding. And for people who are just listening to the audio only version, because there is only the audio only version, I just shake the microphone in anger. What's it called? I watched this in the screen. I already kind of heard about it because it was like a TIFF and I think Telluride or something. It made a big splash there. The reviews are insanely fantastic. People are saying like this is like a new, like they're like, oh, he might be a new generation of filmmakers. It's very unique. He's mixing Eastern and Western filmmaking techniques into like this unique package. And I was like, oh fuck yeah. And then I've looked at, like, I remembered, oh, that guy, Medicine Melancholy, which is this like weird, quirky little indie film, which is just about two people. Like one of them was, I think, Wyatt Cenac, the guy from the Jon Stewart Show. And this other girl who
yeah.
Oh, Wyatt Cenac?
Yeah, Wyatt Cenac.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And he's in there, and then this other girl who just disappeared after that. And they're just a couple who lives in a gentrified aspect of San Francisco, and it's about just like them after a one-night stand and kind of debating about race and politics and stuff. And it was interesting. It was like very Wong Kar-wai-ish, and I was like, wow, this is cool. So, and I know he's a huge Wong Kar-wai fan, and a fan of Taiwanese cinema, Edward Yang and Ho Xiaoshen. And I was like, fuck yeah, I'm excited. And then it came, and then I was like blowing my pants off like 6 different times. I probably wanted to go to the restroom. I was probably coming there like butt-ass naked at the end of the film.
Oh my god.
And then literally after that, like, it was kind of like that, and La La Land was like the one film where like every single person I knew, I was like, we gotta watch this together. And then so I watched that film like in theaters like 4 or 5 times.
Moonlight or La La Land?
Yeah, both.
Okay.
Both, yeah.
Didn't you watch The Big Short like 15 times?
Oh yeah, I watched The Big Short too quite a bit. Yeah, that one didn't hold up as much. But that's a very special place in my heart, and it kind of was like, it opened my eyes to a different type of filmmaking that I think is very excited about.
I'm really glad that I actually had just recently watched In the Mood for Love, which is Wong Kar-wai, because you see a lot of those influences. Both of them have that very like what's it called? Like I don't know, it's a very fluid film style, right? Yeah. It feels very dreamlike, and like it just from the lighting and a lot of the like the like framing and everything. It feels so like organic, and I know a lot of that came because he didn't do any like storyboarding for this, right? Like famously. For Moonlight, right? Like he kind of just like did a lot of kind of run and gun. It's kind of like a weird mix of like he had a very specific vision on how he wanted to look, and he had in his mind. But I don't think he storyboarded like with like drawings or something. But I know he had it all in his mind. Wong Kar-wai, though, I feel bad for the people who work for him. He famously he doesn't even have it in his mind. Like I think In the Mood for Love, the film that he was talking about. Wong Kar-wai, by the way, is a very famous filmmaker from Hong Kong. And he's he's known for his dreamlike films and kind of languid films, and films that are kind of plotless, but also at the same time has like a lot of thematic elements to it. In the Mood for Love, they shot for 13 months. Oh my
gosh. He just didn't know. Like, and to the point, Christopher Doyle, the original cinematographer for that film, just like he left halfway. He's like, I have other projects, man.
Yeah. No one. That's like, I find that so fascinating. Like, especially how movies were made back in the day, because it's like you could not do that today. No. You can't make a movie for longer than like 2 months without them like being like, all right, and you're done. You're cut off. Like that's it. Like Yeah, like nowadays they want to crank out movies in like 2 weeks, and they're just like, hey,
Yeah, Moonlight was
25 days.
25 days.
Yeah, 25 days.
crazy.
Yeah, which the mother or the actress who plays the mother like had what 2 days of filming or something.
Yeah,
Naomi
super
Harris.
crazy.
Yeah,
Super
Naomi.
crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, let's talk about the film schedule. It's insane. They shot this film like without let's go just based on when you guys watched it, right? Like, if I told would you guys have known? Did it seem like a film that only shot for 25 days?
No, absolutely not.
And then also did it seem like I know the Juan character played by Mahershala Ali. He only came on weekends, like the couple weekends to shoot his scenes.
I would believe that because he does show up like he only has
in the first
a
part.
handful of scenes, but he definitely his
That's
presence.
Fucking
kind of
kills
his
it
style.
though. He's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
good.
His presence is really, I think, what helps just define the movie, and that's they open with him.
Yeah.
And it's great. Like I thought he was gonna be the main character at first. Like again, I knew the rough idea of this movie.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that much.
That's good. I actually think that's good. That's probably I'm jealous. I'm jealous. I'm always jealous of somebody watching a film that I love for the first time because you never get that first time back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what's it called? Yeah, no, I agree. Like when you watch for the first time because he's in the opening shot. Right?
Yeah.
He's in the opening
You
shot.
assume okay, we're gonna be following this guy because the entire first shot, it's one shot, and it's all him. And then you see
a little pass by.
Yeah. and they're all like screaming obscenities at him, and then yeah.
In a way, he's like the lead of the first act. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He kind of leads the first chapter.
Well, I think they do like a good job of like they introduce him. He kind of like he sets the tone a bit, and then they kind of pretty quickly transfer to Little, and you follow him and his whole life, and it's just as a kid. Which we should probably talk about the structure of this film. It's like 3 parts, right?
Yeah.
Kid, high school, and then as an adult, and it works so well because it's like all 3 stages of this boy becoming a man.
Also very kind of unconventional in the sense that it just feels like 3 windows of time of someone's life. Because it feels like a lot of really, really important things just happen off screen that we don't see.
Yeah.
Like, for example,
Like,
Mahershala Ali fucking dies off
Yeah,
screen.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like basically in passing referenced. Like there's a scene where his mom said, or Chiron's mom says, "I haven't seen Teresa since the funeral."
Yeah.
Or the fact that the drug addicted mom, which is a huge part of the story, has just entered rehab in between chapters 2 and 3. I really like that whole concept that we're just kind of tuning into random chapters of this guy's
And
life.
Juvie, missing Juvie, and all that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, for the people listening, Teresa is Juan's girlfriend. Juan is the drug dealer who kind of mentors Chiron in the first part of the film.
Yeah, I love their relationship. I love that, like, again, those 3 stages of his life are, like, probably the most vital. They are the most vital moments, like, in his life that, like, obviously shape who he becomes in the end. Because it's like him as a kid, you just see the struggle of him having to deal with his mom. And I love seeing her, like, at first, like, when they first show her, she looks like she's a nurse. She looks like
she kind of has her shit together.
Yeah, it's like clearly they're struggling, but like fuck, everyone's struggling, right? Especially here. But like you and like by the time she's in high school, she's gone off the deep end.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but there's also like little moments where you see like, okay, things are going bad. Like one time Little walks in and then the TV's gone. Like she obviously sold that for drugs, and then she has that guy over and she's like grabbing all the drugs, like get the fuck out of here, like shit like that.
And like the money, like I like that she's a prostitute, right? And she scrapes off like not just bills but like coins, just to like show like oof, yeah, like she's a prostitute and obviously a very cheap one. Like and that's rough, man. This poor kid, and like the guy like kind of like, hey kid, what's up? Like the John, right? He's like, hey, like how you doing, kid? And she's like, get in here, and he's like, okay. Like, it's like this feels like so it's intrusive almost, like you're like you really shouldn't be in this room right now.
Yeah, he does that a lot, like, the way he places the camera. It's like, especially because when I was watching like kind of like behind the scenes or what he was doing, is that he purposely has the camera, like sometimes he would try to avoid masters as much as possible. He would have the camera in between the characters, and a lot of times at choice moments he would do POV shots, so you're looking directly, like the camera usually, like they would look off center in most films, but they're looking directly at the camera eye line and just give you the POV of like the character or the other character. And it's basically, I think the quote that he said was like, I don't want to get into the shit of my childhood and also like my co-writer's childhood without you also experience the shit with me. And I'm like, and it does. I feel like I'm intruding on her. Like I'm uncomfortably a part of someone's childhood that I don't want to be a part of.
Yeah.
But it works. Yeah. It's like a fucked up version of Boyhood in Miami. Like it's,
I like seeing Chiron. I guess like maybe not be the right word, but like it's so tragic seeing Chiron, just how lonely he is throughout this whole movie. And like this flood of emotions that are just clearly just being held back by this like thin veil.
Especially teenage Chiron. Like you can see it on his face, just how like tormented he is by his life. It's so sad.
Teenage Chiron's chapter is my favorite part of the whole movie.
Well, those are that's hard to say, really. Yeah, I think because each section just like brings something so different.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I
think
honestly,
which is intentional. Sorry, real quick. Like the actors who played Chiron, they never met each other because he didn't want them to bounce like ideas off of each other. He wanted them to be their own character in that particular moment in time, which I think worked really well.
Yeah. And it still feels like they kind of met each other. Like, I think they all do a good job of being believable to be the same character.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, I love...
That's good direction on Barry Jenkins' part, right?
Oh, yeah. That's a clear indicator of Barry Jenkins. Like, he had the intention was there. He knew exactly how they wanted them to be. Because, like, the adult version of Chiron, I love when he kind of regresses as soon as he meets his mom, when he meets Kevin again,
especially when he meets Kevin.
It's like he just regresses right back into his childhood self, his high school self, and it feels seamless. Like it's like, that's just feels like what he'd be like now.
When you first see adult Chiron, he's like a completely different character, but the moment he's in that diner, it's like it's that teenage kid sitting in there again.
It's like he goes back, like he doesn't talk a lot. He's like gives like the little head nods. Even Kevin's like, he still
watches.
I love that. Like, you know, he's the scrawny kid. Obviously, they beat the crap out of him when he was little, and then in high school, he has the big fight scene and everything, or he gets jumped, and then you see him just get jacked. Like, you know, he's like obviously like really fronting. He's working out. He's like, I've been in prison. Yeah, I got hard. I had to get hard.
He's compensating.
Speaking of like, you know, like that's a common theme in this film, right? Like, you know, you can't be soft, you can't be hard. Like the idea of like specifically not just like masculinity, toxic masculinity, but like black masculinity, toxic masculinity for like the African American culture, and how that kind of feeds into like their lifestyle, impacts their future things. What do you guys think about that? How do you guys think they handle that topic? And what do you guys think which scene best exemplifies that theme?
The theme of like toxic masculinity.
Yeah, toxic, but specifically toxic black masculinity, because I think that's a completely different thing. Right?
I think it's the scene where he gets jumped, like specifically the fact that he's being jumped by Kevin.
Yeah. Like,
for those of you who don't know, the night before, him and Kevin shared this moment. Like, it was the first time they expressed, or Chiron at least expressed himself like sexually to another man, and then the next day, Kevin basically beats the shit out of him.
And he faces those pressures.
He's forced to.
Yeah.
But
also,
in that scene,
it's a top-down, stay-down or something.
In that scene, Tyrell, I believe is the name of the bully character.
Yeah.
Tyrell's like walking around the school, and like everyone is fucking terrified of him.
Yeah.
Like you see people are like backing up.
Tyrell.
He kind of just happens to run into Chiron.
Yeah.
Chiron and Kevin, and he's like, all right, beat the shit out of him. You kind of see Kevin, he's like, okay. It's tragic. It's
it's those societal pressures, like again, like what he has to, he feels.
What he has to do versus what he wants.
Yeah, he feels like he has to prove this masculinity to like this crowd, right? This thing, because like
I want to come back to the scene in a minute because I have something else to say, but it's not on topic with what you're saying.
Okay, that's fine. But I think like pretty much like, you know, it's like the idea of like toxic masculinity, especially within like the African American culture, where what's it called? And I'm sorry, by the way, I'm not African American, so
what?
But
Phillip
it's like
Lee?
I know, it's like but I know what's like
Phillip Jenkins Lee.
I know what's like, at least with the Asian culture, it's like completely different on our end. Like our terms of masculinity is like the wealth and how much you drink or something like that. Or it's like, but in here for at least in the way the film depicts it, it's like your physical strength. right?
Yeah,
Or
a lot of it
strength.
is like physical and like
Sexual
mental.
strength. Yeah, or sexual strength too. Like
Yeah, he's like, yeah, like when Kevin tells him like, yeah, I was fucking this chick, you know, I just was trying to blow me, but I was like fucking her, you know, like because he's really trying to show like again flaunt his sexual prowess, being like, yeah, man, like I'm totally a dude. And then later, even as an adult, the first thing that the kid asks him when he gets in the car, he's just like, hey, so like who you fucking, right? Like what kind of, like who are you banging right now, man? And then Kevin tells him that later too when they meet again in the diner. He's like, yeah, so like who are you fucking with? Like it's all about that, and he's just like,
what you doing? Who you doing?
Yeah. And he's like, nobody. Like, I'm incredibly alone and sad. I lack intimacy.
This is one of the most human movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'd say that. I think that's like just how like again going back to like Chiron's like loneliness, his lack of intimacy and love, and his basically Juan and Teresa being his real parents. Like really, they were the people who actually gave him any kind of attention and affection. And Kevin being again so vital because he's the only other kid his age that like actually talks to him and actually tries to like engage in some kind of conversation.
And also they have that connection.
Yeah, and they have the connection and the intimacy, which again takes to another level. That's something that he's always lacking.
Yeah, it's like the soft versus hard, like that. Even in the first chapter, where little Kevin, which is funny because that little Kevin looks nothing like the Kevin in part 2
All
and part
three
3.
Kevins don't look alike.
No,
but it's
no.
fine.
But at
Who
least
cares?
Kevin
Who cares?
part 2 looks a little like part. There's not a criticism. I'm just like it's like funny. But
the movie's good enough that it really doesn't.
Yeah.
I
it
think
doesn't.
the acting is what
Yeah,
sells
exactly.
it so well.
Jason said it earlier. He said that those are the right people to play the right parts.
Oh no, I agree.
Yeah.
But you know that conversation when little Kevin had with little Chiron or little, where he was just saying like you can't be like they always pick on you because you can't be soft, right? There's just always this like almost like murdering of like anything that's soft because they consider soft feminine, right? Yeah, so it's like, and then also like, and that's also kind of gets into parentage, right? Juan and Teresa represents kind of like the soft nature of like humanity or what's called, where they ask him to be like, it's okay to express your feelings, it's okay to express yourself, it's okay to understand and open up to each other. And then like they have that moment where they're sharing, like Juan sharing this this kind of folk story from Cuba, right? And then and then they have this almost like baptizing scene where the camera goes in and out of water.
I got that vibe as well.
Yeah. But then his mom represents kind of like the hard nature of parenting, where it's just like it's like basically demeaning him for not necessarily for sexuality, but just demeaning him constantly, or just being yelling at him constantly, and that's kind of like what that general community seems to emphasize and prize over the other things. They actually try to get you not to be expressive, not to have you be soft.
Yeah, like the beach scene where he at one point, like when they're talking about the ocean breeze, which like that's man, it's gonna be really tough talking about like our favorite scenes when we get to that eventually. Yeah. But that's definitely one of my favorites. He's like, you feel that ocean breeze, and he's like, makes you want to cry, and he looks at him and he's like you cry?
Yeah.
Like that's like you're admitting to me like you cry.
And then he goes instantly, nah, it makes me wanna.
Yeah, like I wanna cry, and then Chiron opens up.
Those lines, sometimes I cry so much I don't know, like he sells that so fucking.
What does he say? Like
sometimes I cry so much I think it's gonna go dry or something.
Or no, he says I'm gonna turn to drops.
Yeah.
Which is a great fucking line.
Yeah. He just wants to melt away. He just wants to
then Kevin says like something about you'll go into the ocean or something like that.
Yeah.
And then they only say this once they're like far away from Miami
everything.
society.
They
feel safe. Yeah,
they're intimate, just like completely separate. Yeah.
It's like and it's interesting. I think out of all the films I watched lately, this is probably one of the most interesting explorations of like toxic masculinity, because it has a specific like ethnocentric, or not ethnocentric, but ethnic focus to it. And what's going on? I'm tapping. I'm just tapping. Oh shit!
Oh my
oh shoot!
God damn it!
Phillip keeps bumping into the mic.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Phillip's a mess.
What's it called? What's going on? There's a film. What's it called? From Asian cinema that we'll talk way later in the video. I always talk about Asian shit, right? Fucking Asian people always talk about Asian shit.
This is the second time on this episode.
I was like, why? It's hard with this guy, because this guy's
he does have
Asian, he's such an Asian boo. Like he is. He's an Asian boo.
He has a lot of direct influences to Asian cinema.
And then okay. Well, no, go on.
I was gonna say, for still talking about themes, there was a theme I wanted to talk about, because the first time I saw this movie, I thought it was the ultimate take on identity, and I still do.
Huh?
This is, in my opinion, I think that it's hard pressed to find someone that won't be able to relate to this because it's just about finding yourself.
Yeah.
And it's about identity. But a theme I found myself really into on this time, my third viewing, was the theme of birth and rebirth, kind of like rebuilding yourself and being broken. I found that to be very prominent in each chapter, and I specifically found water to be kind of the venue in which it would tell that. The main scene that I found this in was when Chiron gets his ass kicked by Kevin. He's just like standing up and letting it happen, and Kevin's like, just stay down. He keeps getting up. To me, that represents him almost being, this is his breaking point, and he wants to be broken down. He wants to be pushed over the edge. This is him allowing himself to be broken so he can rebuild himself. And in the very next scene, we see him like his fucked up face in the mirror, and he's all bloody, and he's just washing himself with the ice water. And then in the very next scene, it's the start of his next chapter of his life when he beats the fucking shit brutally out of the bully. And it's pretty fucking brutal. Like the bully drops to the ground and is like twitching, and then you just see Chiron getting like taken out and like I don't think he's in handcuffs, but he's
I think he is in handcuffs.
Oh yeah, he's in
Fine,
handcuffs.
like,
Doesn't really matter, but
escorting him out of the school.
But yeah, and I found that theme to be very prominent, birth and rebirth. In every chapter there's a scene where he is essentially broken and reborn. And, sorry, I know I'm hogging the mic here.
that's fine.
Yeah.
In the last one, what I found really cool was, I think I have a different interpretation on the last shot of the movie now. I always kind of just saw that as a cool flashback. Now, I kind of see the very last shot of, like, little kid Chiron at the beach, and he turns back and he's standing in front of the waves. I almost find that to be representative of, like, Chiron's soul, now as an adult, kind of, like, almost allowing himself to be reborn again, but into maybe who he truly is.
Yeah, accepting
I think
himself.
that's a good interpretation of that shot. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Yeah.
There's like names are so important in this, where he starts off, they call him Little, right?
Yep.
He's like my name's Chiron, but they call me Little. And then like Juan is just like, haha, like, all right, cool, man, I'll call you Little. And then like Teresa, being a little bit more like emotionally intelligent, I think she's like, I'm gonna call you by your name, I'll call you Chiron. And then later, when he gets older, and then Kevin calls him Black, and then he takes that name later and he turns it. That's like his hard name, where he's like, "I'm Black." Like this is.
And his license plate is black.
Black.
Yeah, his car is black.
305.
Whatever the area
He's
code
wearing
for.
black and gold. He looks fresh as hell, though. I'll say.
Yeah.
Dude, I want his body so bad.
Oh, you know with
Dude, I'm like, I want to be jacked.
you know with like Trevin Rose, the guy who plays adult Chiron. What's it called? When he auditioned for the role, Barry Jenkins was like, "Nah, you're wrong." He was like, "No," he was like,
Really?
because of his body size, right?
Uh-huh.
He's just like, he's just like, it's all muscle. He can't do this. It's all wrong parts. But then once the audition happened, right, he said that there was so much sensitivity within, Trevon's eyes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he was just like, no, this guy is. But he was like he was actually against almost everybody on this film. Like, he was also against Mahershala Ali, because he watches House of Cards, and he's like, Rami Denton as like a drug dealer.
Oh man.
Yeah, he's just like, no, he's too cool, he's so hip.
Can we get Mahershala Ali in like everything?
Yeah,
I mean, Blade.
please, man. Yeah.
He was in Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Honestly, like when they first showed like adult Chiron, I was like, hey, maybe he's a little too jacked now,
It is a little. It takes you out of it just for a second. I'm like, dude, he is massive. Like, it's such a far cry from who he was, his teenage years.
But that's the point.
I know. But once it gets into the more dramatic scenes and he's like actually like expressing himself, like it works perfectly. Like it makes sense. You understand why he felt the need to get that jacked.
Yeah, it's like visual storytelling. It's showing like how his character literally had to like change.
Himself.
Yeah.
Because he gets broken down by Kevin, and then he rebuilds himself into this monster.
And you just see like the well of emotions behind Trevante Rhodes' eyes. Like you just see, like you just look into his eyes and you can see like all the shit he's gone through and how he's just carrying that weight with him.
I fucking love that scene too, where he wakes up to his mom calling and he just starts working out, and he's so like emotional as he's working out.
And you know that's not his only workout. He's probably like lifting through like.
Oh yeah,
pounds. I know.
he's like all day, all night, man.
It's just
He
like,
didn't get that jacked off push-ups.
yeah, he's carrying the bed.
Curling the bed. Like,
yeah, it's just like, oh gosh, his farts probably destroy half the task.
Oh, those protein farts would be bad.
Oh yeah, I imagine.
Yeah, that guy just probably consumes a monster amount of protein.
I know, dude. This guy, I really like him. He
You
kind
think I
of.
could email? What's the actor's name?
Trevante
Do you think I
Rhodes.
could email him, ask him what his routine is?
I think he has like a video on like men's health or some shit like that. Yeah.
Is he doing anything else, or has he been in anything
Yeah,
else?
yeah,
He looks very.
he was
he was
familiar.
in The Predator.
He was in Predator. He was in Bird
man.
Box. He was a main guy. He was a main male lead in Bird Box.
He was in Bird Box.
Yeah.
That's where I knew
Yeah.
him from. I was like,
And
this guy
what's
looks so
Bird
familiar.
Box?
I fucking hated Bird Box.
It's a shitty
Sorry.
version of Quiet Place.
Oh,
yeah,
the shittier version.
Yeah,
of Quiet
yeah.
Place.
And then he was also just recently. It was in the he was a male lead for I think it was like United States versus Billie Holiday. Yeah. And he was just a Hulu original film, and he's still working, and he's good. He's gotten better, except Predator. Not his fault. Not his fault.
No.
Yeah, not even Shane Black's fault. That's a whole.
That was
nother
no
thing.
one's fault.
Yeah,
I think this is the only thing I've ever seen him in, actually.
Yeah,
he was in
I
Westworld.
definitely want to see more. He's great.
Westworld,
He's in the first episode.
Who's he in Westworld?
Yeah, he's in
I
the
don't
first
remember.
episode. He's you know when like Teddy, he's hanging out with a bunch of like other like high affluent socialites, and he's
Yeah.
showing them the ropes, and they're like, oh yeah, Teddy shows us the shit. And but if you get bored with him, you can just shoot him later.
Yeah.
He was one of the guys who was fucking the prostitutes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
So he's in it for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So
They're
is
actually-
what's the guy Gus from Breaking Bad's in like one scene of Westworld, which is really
Oh
funny.
yeah. Season 2, he was like the mouthpiece for Anthony Hopkins' character.
Yeah.
Okay, back to Moonlight.
So I want to ask you guys a question real quick. What did you think about the cyclical nature that they presented in Moonlight in regards to Juan and Chiron, and how Chiron tried to emulate Juan to the point that he even had the little crown inside of his car that was from Juan's car originally?
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah.
Like he really, again, like he's trying to
Be him.
to be him. Yeah, he admired him. Obviously, he was like probably the only dude who ever really was like any kind of figure that he could try to emulate at all. I think even like the grills, he's got the grills like him. He's got the earrings and everything.
Same job.
Yeah, same job. Yeah, it's like I got good at it, so it is what it is. Yeah, no, I think that's like it's a father figure, right?
Yeah.
That like a lot of us either
It's
try to
tragic.
be.
It's heartwarming and tragic. Yeah, you're right.
It's tragic because you almost think that if Juan was still alive, he would probably be like, "Oh man, this isn't who you are."
Oh,
No,
he
he would
would be
try to
so
like put him through
disappointed.
school, put him in college and stuff.
I love that last scene we get with Juan when he's asking him about.
I
Like,
cried the first time I saw it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, I was tearing up too. Like watching it for the first time, I was like, totally.
I'm almost crying talking about it. It's so fucking emotional.
I teared up like
Heartbreaking.
teared up like 4 times, 5 times.
Yeah,
in
no,
this
this,
freaking
is, this movie. If this movie doesn't make you cry, you're heartless. Like for
But
real.
he's
I
just
laughed.
he's
I'm
asking.
just kidding. I just kidding. I didn't laugh.
That'd be a Miles take.
No, but I loved him asking him all the hard questions. Like in that
Yeah.
scene, he's like,
Yeah.
"Okay, what's a faggot?" And it's just like, oof, okay. And then he explains it to him, and then he's like, "Am I?" And he's like, "No, man, no." And then I do like the moment where he looks. He says like he's like, "No, you shouldn't let people call you that, or whatever." And
But
then he's
if
like,
you-
"Well, maybe." And then he looks at Teresa, and she shakes her head like,
Like,
"No, no."
no.
And he's like, "Oh, yeah, never mind."
I mean, unless you're into that, kid.
Teresa's like, "Mm."
Yeah, no, that's a good.
"Oh man," but I love when he's just like, "You can't. You might be gay, but you can't let anybody call you that."
Yeah, yeah.
And then he's like, "Well, how do you know?" He's like, "You'll know when you'll know.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to worry about that right now." It was just such a
It's such a refreshing take on a drug dealer character, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually they're hard or
Well,
their type of.
well. That's the thing
He's
about
like
going back to Miles's question about like how he's emulating him. He really is emulating all the things that is like
doesn't
the
like about
yeah, like the exterior of Juan.
Yeah.
He's not emulating like
his
the
warmth. His character.
and that's kind of the problem, I think.
Yeah, it's
like
tragic.
like that scene. I love the scene where he's with like his drug dealer buddy, and he's like, "Not all the money's here," like count that shit. And then like the guy's like getting really scared, like, "Oh no, like maybe I fucked up,"
Yeah.
but like he's like, "Nah, I'm just fucking with you." But that was him like expressing his power now. He's like, yeah, I'm that guy now.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
I would get scared too. Look, his biceps like.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Crush your head with the friggin' choke.
Yeah, I know.
No, yeah, I like, again, going back to that scene where he's talking to Juan and he asks him, like, you know, are you a drug dealer? And he's like, man, yes. It's just like, you just feel like just a crazy amount of guilt. He's like, and that shows through, like, it's like, he sees Chiron and the struggles that he's going through, and he's like, I am
Part of the problem.
yeah, I'm pretty much almost directly like responsible for a lot of this. Like, obviously it's much further than that. There's like a million other issues, but he's like, I'm definitely not making it better. Like, I'm making this worse.
Everyone feels like a
Because-
victim in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is
It's-
a fucking tragic.
It's a victim
and
of the society, or
heartbreaking
like
movie.
pretty
Absolutely,
much
yeah.
culture.
It's yeah, like, and that scene where he's like, yeah, like, you sell drugs to my mom. He's like, I
And
do.
it just
Oh
holds.
no, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't even ask that directly. He just says like, "And my mom does drugs." Right?
Oh yeah.
yeah, and then like he puts it two together, and he walks
He
out.
walks away, and then it just holds on fucking Mahershala Ali, and it's just that right there won him the Oscar. That's just that hold on him, and he's just looking down, ashamed,
Yeah.
not even really saying anything. Doesn't say anything. Just looks down, ashamed.
And then later, when you don't exactly know that Juan is dead at this point, right? When he's a teenager, but they like, you know, they seed it a little bit here and there, like, oh yeah, you know, like you go to Teresa's house, Juan's not there, right? And then like they mention him, like, you guys were thick as thieves, like, you guys are thick as thieves or whatever, like, you guys are really good buddies, and he's just like, yep. It's that little silent moment, and it's like, in the back of my head, watching it for the first time, I was like, oh man, please don't be dead. Like, please tell me he's like, oh, he went to the store, he's coming right back. But I was like,
you know, that's not what happened.
yeah, I know. It's like, God, yep, this is
Also,
that
I
movie.
would say that might be the reason he goes to the beach too, Chiron, for the
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Probably.
I think that's why he's
Yeah.
going to the beach. He wants to kind of be with Juan in spirit.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
It's
That does
fucking
make
heartbreaking.
sense. Yeah. You know what's most likely gonna have? There's ever an epilogue to this?
Yeah.
Probably Chiron's probably gonna get killed too. Like in the business, like, you know, if we go with the cyclical nature, unless Kevin like convinces.
yeah, I feel like
I
that's
think
the way
that
it was
the-
going.
Yeah, I think that's like the big part of it, right? Is that there's that break where he eventually he's with Kevin, and that intimate moment at the end, which is so important. It's nothing sexual. They're just together, and it's incredibly intimate. He's just caressing his head, and it's like, probably, like he said, no one's ever touched me, right?
Yeah.
You're the only man who's ever touched me. And it's just, he's lacking that intimacy, and it just shows. He's just aching for it. It's like, oh man, and it's so satisfying to finally see him, you know, for them to be together.
Have you guys ever seen Ho Sha-Shen's 3 Times?
No.
No? Okay. Oh gosh, because I would say like this film is pretty reminiscent. Actually, if anything, this is like closest thing to a remake of that film. Like, do you guys see the video I sent with? Probably
No, I did not. I had a very busy week.
I am too.
Oh, it's called.
Philip's bringing up an Asian movie. What?
No, but it is. It's like, cause in the original play, right? When they're talking about like how he adapted the play, like it wasn't in 3 structures like this. It was actually like you didn't know little was little. You didn't know Chiron was Chiron. You didn't know black was black. They're all played by, you know, different segments or whatever. It wasn't until like halfway through the play that you find out that they were playing the same character.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of cool. That's
But
cool.
then he changed it because he's like, one, that's not going to work in the film.
Yeah.
It's in a play, and then two, he said, so he modeled it after the movie Ho Sha-Shen's film, which is crazy. When I watched it and I saw that he pronounced it so perfectly and articulately, I'm like, bro, like, good for him.
He knows his shit.
Yeah. And, what's it called? He modeled it after that film, which that film is about like 3 different love stories played by the same 2 actors, but in different time periods. Right? One is 1960. The second segment is in 1920s, and the third segment is in 2004.
Okay.
Right? But he kind of modeled this film after that, whereas like each segment is like a different like part of Chiron / love story, but with different, like, it's the same character, but this time he reversed the concept. It's different actors.
No, I love the timeless quality, or the timeless like feel you get in this movie. Like, this could take place in the 80s, in the 2000s, in like the 90s. I don't know, but like it didn't matter really. Like, it's just like it all kind of just blended together so well. And if anything, you know, thinking about it, that's probably really sad, because I think it just also represents like the stagnation of this area, right? Like, it's like there's not that much progression really.
No, it's
compared
like
to when he was a kid.
Streets.
Yeah, from when he was a kid to as he's now like an adult, like 20 years later. it looks exactly the same. It's the same exact setting.
It goes into what Blake was saying. It's like we're victims of like our environment, the society. We're our environment, society. No matter what happens, no matter how much physically and mentally, spiritually the characters change, the society and the thing they stay the same. There's this beast that kind of eats you up, right? Yeah. Yeah. We're like, and then basically like, and if you're like an other kind of like Chiron, right, where it's like he's the opposite of like what black masculinity is, like a straight, like hard hitting, edged, powerful physical guy. He's a softie. Yeah. Yeah. And he's also like, and also I don't know if you guys don't know, he's homosexual. He likes other men, and that's very different against what the society wants like him to be. Yeah. Right, and he gets punished for that, like tragically. Yeah.
Yeah. Like again and again, it's You guys want to talk about the cinematography?
Yeah. Oh, you know what?
Gorgeous.
Do you guys think? Okay, don't look at close. Don't look at your thing right now. Don't look at it because the answer what I'm saying is gonna swirl into it. Was it shot on film or digital?
If I had to guess, I don't know. I mean, I guess I would. Just guessing, I would say because most films now are usually digital. Barry Jenkins does seem like a dude that like. Would try to do film for the sake of film because he's like obviously a serious film buff. I don't know, it's hard to say, but like it definitely has a film-like quality to it. But yeah, I'll say film.
What about you, Jason?
Probably say digital.
I would also say digital.
Given the budget and everything.
Oh yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
Honestly, it looks like it was shot digitally just because of some of the lighting and the way that it was lit for a lot of it. You can't get some of those exposures as well on film, and I think that being that it was shot digitally just because of how clear a lot of the darker shots looked.
Yeah, I think that it kind of depends, right? Like, because again, if they had a bigger budget, then I would say like no, for sure. Like you can get it done in film, I think, but it's just like it's much harder. It's
significantly harder. Yeah.
Okay. So yes, this film was shot on the. We shot on the Arri Alexa XT Plus.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It was shot on digital, but they the colorist Alex Pickle, who worked on like Kimiko, the Treasure Hunter, Blue Ruin, and Ignition.
Of course, it was shot on an Alexa. It's fucking gorgeous. It looks great. I'm making anything look great.
Yeah, I know. What's it called? It's they shot this on digital, but in post production they made each chapter emulate a different type of film stock. Right. Yeah. Okay. So the first chapter they're trying to emulate Fuji film stock, and Fuji film stock is usually known for like warmer skin tones and also a lot of texture and stuff like that. And that kind of makes sense. There's a lot of close-ups of like little and stuff like that. Yeah. And it's like a warmer feel to the first one because it's the warmest chapter. It's the most it's called its least tragic moments. Mm-hmm. And then the second one is they're trying to emulate German film stock. There's the Agfa film stock. I'm sorry for our German viewers out there.
You think we have viewers?
Yeah.
In Germany?
It adds cyan to the image highlights and stuff. Kind of greenish blue hue, a little more harsh,
Oh yeah, you definitely get that. Each chapter's color was great.
Yeah, and the last one is supposed to be like a modern version of a Kodak film stock. The less restrained, more pop and shine. Definitely looks the most modern. You know what I mean? It's probably looks like your early 2000s Kodak film camera shots and stuff like that.
I feel like you can just feel the humidity too coming off of Miami and Liberty City.
Definitely.
It's oof, man. I feel hot watching this. I'm feel sticky, man. I'll take a shower.
Oh yeah. I think that helps with a lot with the cinematographer. By the way, this guy is low key MVP. James Laxton.
Oh, I don't know about low key. This dude's his work really shines through.
It's I kind of do where you're talking about to accentuate the skin textures and stuff like that. He used a lot of single source lighting, which is for people who don't know, it's just usually just one giant key light, and he uses very little fill light. Fill light is used to kind of take out some of the shadows and make it less harsh. But he doesn't do that in this one, and it's usually kind of risky because in post production when you do that, you don't give your colorists a lot of room. Mm-hmm. And they're fucked. They're there's no detail on that face, so they can't mess with it. But they did that. They took that big risk, and it worked. I think it worked. It's with the faces are very striking, especially the close-ups.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like the one Blake was talking about, where after he puts his face in the ice and he looks up.
Yeah, when we're gonna get to the like some of our favorite shots in the movie, like those are like a lot of those are those close up shots for me, like just like the different like you see the textures of the face, the coloring, the lighting, but like oof, it's fantastic. I want to give a shout out to like the production design, the art direction by Mabel Barba and Hannah Beelcher. Because like it was all coordinated so well, like the kind of the light pastel colors, you get that Miami feel, the walls, the clothing that they're wearing, it all works together so well. And the blue is obviously like the main color throughout this because of the moonlight, and it just works so well. It really gives it that dream soft like quality to it, and it's just just even though it's 3 different parts, even with like the 3 different kind of film stock emulations, it's still very seamless.
Yeah, it's like a different variation of like the blue and stuff like that, which is great. I think that's cool. I think it's like and even like when like coloring is such a big part, it's like even when when they transition from like chapter 1 to chapter 2, chapter 2 to chapter 3, like it goes to black, and like you have flashes of like the second part, I forget, it was like blue. And the third part, when it goes to black, it's like red. And I think that was like a reference to the 3 color trilogy, like, which was I think blue, white, and red. And in a way, he's like I know he's a big fan of those films. Like he kind of like he did that in this one, and it was cool. It's cool. It's a cool way. Okay, so like before I kind of ramble, I could talk like 3 hours about this film. But what are your favorite shots in the film? Let's go down those. Jason, what's your favorite shot?
Give me a second. Yeah, it is tough. I think I'd have to go back to what Blake said earlier. I just fully agree. When after Little walks out of Juan's house, and you just see Juan just like hanging his head and almost crying, like it just made me so sad. Like that was the most emotional point of the movie for me, aside from one other scene that I'll probably talk about later. But that really struck me.
I kind of already said what mine was, and it's probably most people's, but after he gets beaten the shit out of, and he's bathing his face in the ice water,
Shot,
and he's staring at himself. It speaks to me. It really does feel like something inside him died and something inside him was born, and that's where he transforms into black. Yeah, that's the moment. You literally see something in him die and something in him be born.
Yeah, I love him like just examining his face. He's just looking at it. The flickering of the fluorescent lights. He's just like,
and it's just the lighting is what makes it work too. Like Phillip was talking about the importance of the lighting in this movie. It's just like gritty, rough, and dirty.
Yeah,
and it says a lot.
Yeah, you see like the water like on his skin is sticking there and stuff like that. I wonder if they put like it's like I forgot what it's called, but it's like film sweat or something they spray it on your face.
Yeah, probably like it's like a spray you put on there, and it kind of just makes the water beat up a little bit more on his face.
We have an aside from Miles. Rudely interrupt. I'm just kidding.
I'm rudely interrupting because I don't think anybody's going to mention this, but the diner scene where he's actually where Kevin's making the food for him.
More work. I was going to get to that.
That's one of the most fantastic shots in the film.
Yeah,
just the way that they played with light and shadow.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. And I mean, just the diner scene in general was shot amazingly. It really felt like you were in, a restaurant, but it felt very intimate, especially with, even though there were people there around, it felt like
it was just them two.
It was just them two, even though they were surrounded by, there was probably 6 or 7 other people in the diner. And I just thought that it was beautiful the way that they were able to pull that off.
Sorry, real quick. Another one that I really liked before...
Jason, you only get one.
No, fuck that. Was when his mom's standing at the end of the hallway, and there's that like pink fluorescent light or pink neon light behind her, and she's like kind of in slow motion, and she screams at him, like she's screaming at him, but it's silent.
Don't look at me or something.
Yeah. That was also really heartbreaking. That was really sad.
Top tier mother screaming at main character scene.
I'm also gonna cheat a little bit here and say there's 2. I think they'd have they're very like mirror images, I think, of each other, probably purposely, but I don't know. But like there's the moment after he comes back from hanging out with Janelle, or sorry,
Teresa.
I just combined their names, but yeah, he comes back and his mom runs up to him. This is after she's locked herself out of the house. She's clearly on some kind of like bender, and she's freaking out. And he has that realization that, oh, she's like high right now, or she's clearly struggling.
She's fiending.
Yeah, she's really fiending. And like the camera does those like back-to-back POV shots of like the mother coming slowly in and out of focus. She's kind of yelling at him, and he's just like, oh, you see the realization on his face, like, fuck.
Yeah.
This is where she's at right now. And then just like that. And then later, when he's in the diner and he first, Chiron and Kevin, they first make eye contact, and you see like the realization on both of their faces as they both just really look at each other and examine where they're at, and they just like have this moment, and it slows everything down just for like a couple seconds, but it just immediately draws you back in. All the intimacy of their relationship, their whole past lives just kind of rush back in that second, and you just immediately know that that connection is still there, and it's just based off that first look. Those two are probably my favorites for sure.
All right. Well, no, speaking of those two shots that you're talking about in Moonlight, I think those were great. Like especially like the one with Chiron and his mom. I think like even when they were on the mom, like after that they like lowered the shutter speed or something, so like it made all her shots seem a little extra jittery. I think so. Yeah,
probably. Yeah.
Yeah, Barry, if you're listening to this and you're a big fan of Have a Clue,
Barry,
correct
if
us
you're
if
listening
wrong.
to this, come on, please. I'd love to talk with you.
I'll give you my family. You know?
Okay. Favorite shots, Phil?
Oh yeah, for me, it's let's go. I would also cheat. I also have and these even you cheat even worse than Ron because they have nothing to do with each other. But I want to talk about both. My first favorite shot is the one where it's in the second chapter where it's Chiron, and it's when Terrell the bully plays it's like stay down game, like stay down game, and then like it's the camera's following him, right? And it's going in and out of focus. It's kind of violent, like the movement. And
He
he's
like
choosing
slaps
something.
books out of their hands.
Yeah.
It's
Fucking asshole.
circles around.
Yeah. And it mimics that feel. And then you're kind of not sure who POV is until it ends on Kevin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it ends on Kevin saying, beat that person up. And that one, I think it's like one of the best, like somehow like extremely tense. It really evokes what's it called? The kind of the physical danger of the stakes of the scene extremely well, and also transitions from like viewpoint from like Terrell to Kevin instantly, and it cuts to a POV shot of POV shot of Chiron just looking directly in the camera, and you're just in two shots the exact nature of the shot, the exact nature of the film, the scene, the physical dangers, and the tone of it, and that's like excellent A+ filmmaking. My second shot I love, and it's a weird one, but it's mainly because I think like I'm a big sucker for anamorphic lens film because like of the look that it does, like super wide aspect ratio 239, and it's what's it called. He shot and by the way, he shot this film on anamorphic lens, and that kind of gives a super widescreen aspect ratio. It also has like the background kind of look really distorted unless it's like specifically on the subject that's to focus on.
It's like the good version of what
Zack Snyder
Damn
was
it!
doing.
You said it before I did.
Yeah.
I was
Army
gonna
of the Dead.
fucking bring that up.
If you watch Army of the Dead, it's like how not to do that.
Yeah. I don't even think he shot an anamorphic that. It's like a weird spherical lens, right? It's like
it was a custom made one.
Yeah.
But like the basic idea was there of like super wide, very extreme shallow focus.
I think Zack Snyder just didn't know what he was doing and claimed that's what he was going for.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't have a focus puller on this, so you got to stand right here for me.
Exactly. And I think like what's it called, and also another thing with anamorphic lens is that because the way the light enters the camera, it's oval shape compared to spherical lens, which is more like circular. And as a result, like the things that are distorted in the background look like ovals, and kind of gives like this fever dream look to it. And that makes sense. Like this whole film feels like a fucking fever dream. So that one, there's a shot in Black where Black was talking to what's it called, his mom Paula, when I think she's at the rehab center or something, right?
Yeah.
And there's like a low angle shot where I think Paula's trying to reconcile with Black, but Black was like, well, where were you? And he was getting defensive, and he stands up, and it's like a low angle his shot, and his shot is literally in the middle of these trees, and the trees look like almost like a Vincent van Gogh painting. And like these ovals that are like kind of circular around his head, And I think that's like it's beautiful. It's like it's like, dare I say, painterly, like, unlike Zack Snyder stuff. I'm just kidding. Zack Snyder, I love you too. And I think like just subtle things like that. It's like somebody who knows his craft extremely well, somebody who researched it extremely well, somebody who just took the time and effort to actually care about how to just use the film medium as a powerful storytelling method to tell his stories. Like, unlike, fucking John Krasinski.
I was gonna make a joke about that.
John fucking Krasinski doesn't know how to
make
use...
an entire
He doesn't know wonders. He doesn't know how to use his lens. He doesn't know his cameras. Fucking go to film school, you piece of shit. I'm just kidding.
We gotta make a drinking game. Simpsons, Lost, John Krasinski.
I'm just kidding, John. I love you too.
Korean filmmaking.
Shit
buckets. Whenever these things are mentioned, you have to take a shot.
Yeah. So, Barry Jenkins, amazing filmmaker. 10 out of 10 for this film. What are your favorite moments of this film? And overall, what's your favorite opinions? I mean, not favorite opinions, your overall opinion of this. Right. Let's go down the list. Jason.
So, my favorite moment was when Juan ends up encountering Chiron's mom, and she's, like, in the car, like, smoking crack, and they both, like, kind of, like, go head to head. Like, they're both kind of pointing fingers. Like, she's saying, well, you're selling me crack. And he's like, you should not be doing this. But, like, it's clear in that moment that both of them really love Chiron, but neither one are doing the right things for him. And that really just kind of broke my heart. Because they both have that realization. It's really sad. But fucking phenomenal.
Yeah,
great performances. What?
Yeah. Oh, she's like, are you gonna raise him?
He's like, are you? Like, who's gonna raise this fucking child? Like, It shouldn't be either of us, but we're in this position together. It was really well done.
My favorite moment is the beach scene. The one specifically with teenage Kevin and teenage Chiron. They have a moment of intimacy after a very deep conversation. To me, that scene, and this holds up, this movie came out 5 years ago now, which is crazy to me.
That is crazy.
It's held up as, in my opinion, one of the most real scenes ever shot. This feels like one of the most human and real interactions between two characters ever shot on film, for me.
There's like the just awkward pauses, the moments, the like little realizations. Like
Teenage Kevin is great, by the way. Teenage Kevin that's one of the best portrayals of a teenager.
Oh yeah, and like they're just like looking in each other's eyes, kind of like looking at each other's like they both kind of like, do they want this, do they not? The fear of like rejection, like if this goes wrong, this could shatter his whole world even more than it's already, like it's barely holding together, and if like this could ruin everything.
I love when Chiron like moves in for the kiss and it's just so quick, and then he pulls back like, is this okay? And like, it's great.
It's like, and even if you've ever had that first kiss moment, you're just like, can I go in? No, like it's such an awkward moment, and it's so like we're just well captured.
It's very human.
Yeah,
beautiful.
I'd say my favorite moment is probably when Juan and Chiron are like in the ocean, and he's teaching him how to swim, and he's just floating in the water, and he's like, hey, listen, man, like just right here, float that. Do you feel that? Like you're in the center of the world, right? Like that's just that whole scene is just so just touching, and it's kind of like bobbing in and out of the water, and you just it just feels like them. It's just them just by themselves, and again, this is probably the first real moment of affection and love that he's felt in like his whole life, and it just, you feel it, and it shaped his whole life after that. Super well done.
For me, I guess my favorite moment for this film is generally, I guess this is on a personal level. It's not my favorite film changes. My favorite moment changes every time I watch this, but recently, just for my own personal reasons, the final scene when Black was talking to, or Chiron, and adult Chiron was talking to his mom, Paula, and, and the main thing she said is that, like, I love you, you don't have to love me, I know you don't love me, but I still love you, and it's like, regardless of what I did, and I know I don't deserve love, but I love you, and that scene was, I think, particularly very powerful for me, and it was, that I tear up on different times every time, and that was the one that made me tear up this time, and I love that part about Moonlight, where every watch, depending on your different stages of life, like when I probably first watched, I was closer to feeling like, the second chapter Chiron, right? Or sometimes when, I'm in a certain emotional state, I feel like little. But I guess right now, Not saying I feel like as buff as Black, but emotionally,
You connect with.
I connected with the third chapter the most this time. So actually,
Okay.
You have been dealing more crack lately. So.
I know. So that's I love this film. It's one of my it's one of my favorite films of all time. Though, ironically, not my favorite Barry Jenkins stuff. By the way, watch his historical fiction for those fucking IMDb and fucking Rotten Tomato audience people who don't understand what magic realism is. Shut the fuck up and don't put any ratings on Rotten Tomatoes.
I saw.
Magical realism. Underground Railroad. Watch it. It's amazing. And also watch If Beale Street Could Talk. And also watch Medicine for Melancholy. His entire filmography is great. And also watch all Wong Kar-wai films.
Yes.
Yes. Wong Kar-wai is amazing.
I saw a Rotten Tomatoes review for Moonlight that said, what is
Is it Armand White?
What?
Armand White hates this film.
No, I saw Rotten. It was a user.
That guy hates every
Yeah,
like.
you guys know
thing.
Armand White? Just not.
No,
I
not
do
beside
not.
that.
I have no idea what you're
It
talking
was
He's like
probably
he's super contrarian film
about.
goer.
I saw a fucking Rotten Tomatoes review. No, this guy only had 3 reviews. I wanted to see what he liked. He was just like, this is like the most unengaging movie I've ever seen. It's super
The
boring. I don't understand like how that, like I found Mahershala Ali like overrated. And then I was like, okay, I gotta see what this guy likes. So I clicked on his profile and like he's only done 3 reviews, but one was it's out of 5 on Rotten Tomatoes, right? He gave it 5 stars to The Witches from 1990. And he's like, this is one of the greatest movies ever. So to that guy, fuck you.
Yeah, I mean, okay, honestly, it's fine if you don't like the film. Just do your research or something.
I don't know how you can't connect to this film. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I feel
Well, I mean,
like-
if you're actually no, never mind. I don't want to say this because if some people just who aren't homophobic just don't like the film because they don't like this type of filmmaking. You know, people who hate Asian films.
Okay,
probably-
but if
it's
they
like-
if they brought that layer down, they would find something in it.
This-
like
this
I
is
think
the-
like
some people just have bad taste. You know?
I just don't. Okay, maybe you don't like it. I just don't understand how you could watch this and not connect to at least a part of it.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's one of the most human movies I've ever seen.
yeah, the quest for identity is
Universal.
within all of
Yeah.
us.
All right, should we give our ratings? We've been talking about this for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
Unless anyone else has anything else to say, of course.
I would say this is one that should go in the museum. It's a modern masterpiece. I think it's one of those movies that's just gonna stick around and probably be like just studied and analyzed for years and years to come, rightfully so.
Yeah, obviously, I think I've given my opinion. It's obviously going in the museum. It's amazing. If you haven't seen it, like, well, first of all, you should not have listened to every part of this movie, but it's I don't even have words for it most of the time. It really is a masterpiece.
I agree. I'd put it in a museum. It's just masterfully done, and it's beautiful. It's just like everything from the characters to the visuals to everything is just so beautiful to me, and it really speaks to me on a very emotional level. It's great.
No, I would probably put this in the shit bucket. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. This is preserved in the museum. One of my favorite films ever. It's great. Now, I guess before we kind of end this segment, now that you guys watch Moonlight again, and we're all talking about this, how many of you guys are gonna watch either another film from Barry Jenkins, and what would you guys watch?
I want to watch If Beale Street Could Talk. I've heard a lot of good things. It's been on my watch list. I don't know, watch reruns of Lost instead.
Yeah, I'd say the same. Like, I mean, I definitely would love to dive into the rest of his filmography, just see anything he's done, and I'm excited for whatever he's doing next.
Lion King 2.
Yeah, he's doing a fucking Lion King.
But you know what? I'm actually gonna be interested. You know why? Because he's bringing back
Nah.
the cinematographer James Laxton for this,
Wait.
Okay.
Is
I
he
don't-
doing? Is he doing?
I don't care.
and he's writing. No, he's writing.
Is he
and
doing
directing.
Simba's Pride?
No. He's completely just like.
I think it's a
bringing-
prequel. I think he said it was a prequel.
No, it's a prequel, sequel.
Oh,
He's completely ignoring all the whatever, and he's making his own original story. And I think like he's hinted at
Doesn't
that
it-
he's not a huge fan of the animation, like the face. And
I
stuff.
would love if he did Lion King 1.5.
Yeah, that'd be great.
A metaphor.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
need.
Well,
I'd
honestly,
love to see Timon
Yeah.
farting in a hot tub.
Yeah, you need Nathan Lane.
Yeah.
You need you need whoever did the voice for
So
Pumbaa.
does it have nothing to do with the Lion King fucking movie that
no,
just came out?
it
No, it
will,
does.
it will. But like, I think I'm from what I could tell, like he's being very mum about it. He says that he's been watching a lot of sequel prequel films.
He's like, I can just imagine Barry Jenkins watching Simba's Pride, which I think is underrated. By the way, I mean it's nowhere near as good.
Is it the one with Scar's like secret lost child or whatever?
Yeah.
I remember that.
Like there's a lot of things that are great about it.
I
but
remember,
it's just it follows probably one of the best. Disney
if we're talking
movies
about
ever.
this, I have to bring this up because when is this ever going to come up again? I remember I really liked Simba's Pride as a kid, and then after that they came out with Lion King 1.5, which I was also very excited for. And I asked my mom, "Oh, can we go to Blockbuster and like rent that?" And she was like, "Now, Blake, you understand this isn't a sequel to Lion or Simba's Pride." I'm like, "I know." Do you think I don't know that?
It's
That really offended me as a kid.
I do want to mention something about Lion King 1.5. I remember very distinctly there was actually a video game, like a TV video game on the DVD.
Yeah, I remember
That
that.
was a fad for a while.
Yeah.
There's one of those on the Fast and Furious DVD as well.
Yeah, I used to do those all the time.
Max Keeble's Big Move, anybody? That
Oh,
was
and
it.
then on the fucking
The food
Harry
fight?
Potter, you could play Quidditch on your DVD remote.
Wait, really?
Yeah, you could play Quidditch on the DVD remote. Like I remember, I
You're
just
not a
did
real
it.
gamer
I just did
unless
that
you've done
like
that.
6 months ago, just recently. It was weird. Oh gosh,
That's funny.
it's
I only have the VHS copy of Lion King
oh,
too.
I'm just kidding. No.
Yeah, I should get the DVD.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, it's a Lion King. I would actually see it because I just trust this guy so well.
Yeah,
I've seen everything. He's done.
I'd be
Yeah, I
interested.
trust him.
Yeah, and he's also
see what
bringing
he
his
does.
crew, right? Oh, we didn't even talk about the fucking music. Nicholas.
Oh, yeah,
the music
is
Nicholas Bertel. How many of you guys have seen Succession? Probably already answered. None of you guys. Best show. It is literally it won best drama just recently on Emmys. But
Hey, I watch stuff. Okay.
no. What's it called? You watch Succession?
Yes.
Fucking love you, Miles. Oh my.
Yes,
that
I watched
theme song.
Succession. Yeah.
It's so fucking catchy, right? The
Yeah.
theme song. Somebody used Mario Paint and remade the theme song. This guy is amazing. Like him. Like in terms of up and coming composers, Nicholas Bertel and oh gosh, what's his name? Ramin Djawadi. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. The composer for Game of Thrones.
Oh
Yeah, he also did Westworld too, and other films, and Pacific Rim. It's like those two are probably the one I've been like looking out for. Like, okay, these two are.
Oh yeah,
Definitely
I mean,
trouble
the music
releasing.
is like it sets the tone so well. It adds the kind of the eerie, kind of like tough what's it called, like uneasy feeling during those really uneasy moments, and then like the great moments are either just very silent, like the beach moment where you're just like on the beach, and it's just like you hear the waves, and it's it shows so much restraint, I think, and when the music does kick in and punch, it hits so well.
Oh, the violins, the strings. Oh,
Yeah,
gosh.
and then even the use of Goody Mob in when he wakes up is black, and he's in like Atlanta.
Classic.
I was like, oh fuck yeah! Like I didn't even know he was in Atlanta. But when I heard Goody Mob, I was like, maybe he's in Atlanta. And, yeah, really well done.
Yeah, so it's great. Okay, what's it called? And a quick word from our sponsor. So now we are going to be talking about But I'm a Cheerleader, directed by Jamie Babbitt. And it fucking sucked. Oh, God, it was awful. It's poopy caca shit. And this is not me pretending. I actually genuinely don't fucking like this film. Fuck this film. God, I have nothing else to say. That's it. It's in the shit bucket. All right, bye. What's it called? There's other good films representing this side of LGBTQ. That's probably a lot better. And if you're talking about satire, it's a much better satire. They don't fucking know how to do a satire. Oh my, fuck! Gosh, damn it!
Are you really? Okay. Alright.
Oh, he's gone. Okay, so okay.
Well,
Alright, Miles, you want to step in?
yeah.
Yeah, I think I can step in.
All right, so Phillip had to leave, but we're gonna pick up where he left off here. So now we're talking about But I'm a Cheerleader, like you said, directed by Jamie Babbitt. It's a very this is a movie that I chose to discuss because I don't know, I think it's just a fun movie to talk about in June. It's LGBTQ month. It's like, so the basic premise is this girl who is who's a cheerleader. Yeah, who's also
But is she a cheerleader?
yeah, who's also a lesbian, and her family, who is very like Christian and kind of like, conventional Americana kind of family. They figure out that she's possibly gay or probably gay, and they decide to put her into a camp to basically straighten her out, right? To get the gay out. And and here we go. And it's very, like, I think it's a very fun
interpretation and satire of those camps.
Now, remember, one of the clues that they have is that she doesn't want to make out with her dickhead boyfriend.
Oh, yeah,
which
no.
I thought was just
who
like,
would want to make out with that
want
guy?
to make out with him?
Wait,
I was
that
like,
guy sucks.
No, I love the way that they just like they basically amp up a lot. It's a satire, right? So like they amp up a lot of those
Whoa.
qualities. Like when he's making out with her, it's like
Disgusting.
Yeah, it's really revolting. It's
Well,
like,
I was
oh,
gonna
God.
say, what's funny about this movie was that so we should mention it's a satire. It's very ridiculous. It's essentially taking a terrible situation and making it like very light and funny and ridiculous.
Yeah.
But when it first started, the first 5 minutes when she's making out with them and it's so ridiculous, I was like, oh fuck, I'm gonna hate this. Because I thought it was just gonna be a dumb comedy. And then at a certain point I realized, oh no, this is the entire movie. The entire movie has this fucking what's the word I'm looking for? It has this consistency. That's not what I'm trying to say though. It has this tone.
Yeah.
Where like no one's really human in it. It's almost you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like they're all exaggerated stereotypes.
This movie almost feels like a live action cartoon in a lot of ways, both in aesthetic and in the way the characters act.
It felt almost like a fantasy in
Yeah.
some ways, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like a light version of a Yorgos Lanthimos movie. Did you think about that at all?
I know. I don't
Do you
know if
know
I
what
would
I'm
say
saying,
that.
though?
Yeah, I do know kind of what he's saying, where he kind of takes away a lot of like
The
their
humanity.
Yeah, it takes a lot of the humanity of it, but it does keep a lot of the humanity, which is I think what's very important.
I kind of want to see Yorgos Lanthimos direct this. It'd be way more fucked up.
That'd be hilarious. No, but again, I think it's a very interesting interpretation of like again taking a very serious situation, right? Getting sent to these gay camps is a horrifying practice that's existed for a very long time, and you know people have suffered and like really had to deal with like the horrors of trying to deny themselves and you know lose like their humanity, right? Like they're just trying to live and love, and no, they just completely have to rip it away and deny it and suppress their emotions. But no, this like flips it on its head and it's so goofy and over the top. I find it very charming.
It's making fun of like the conservative view of homosexuality.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, I thought it was actually very silly, the opening scene where they were doing all the cheer routine and stuff. And
Yeah,
you
I
just
thought
hear
it was
that
over the
boing, boing.
Yeah, it's her like they're focusing on the boobs
Yeah.
and her butt, and it's like again those parts of her brain is like she's a horny teen,
Yeah.
and she gets to hang out with teenagers like you know cheerleaders all day, and she's checking them out. And I like that realization when they're like, "Do you like? Aren't you always like picturing these women?" And she's like, "Yeah, but I mean, like, doesn't everybody? Right? Like that's normal." And they're like, not the way you're thinking."
I
of it,
love
right?
the scene where she opens her locker and it's just like,
Yeah,
it's very obvious.
You see the other
then her
teammate.
friends, her friend's locker has a picture of a big buff dude, and she's got a picture of. Was the girl wearing lingerie or just?
She's like in a bikini or
in
something.
a bikini, yeah.
Yeah, and she has like a female rock star and stuff. Her room and like just a lot of those little nods. It's like, you're very obviously a lesbian, but she's oblivious to it.
Yeah, I love the fact that she doesn't realize that she's a lesbian until she's put in this camp and they basically tell her, "No, you're a lesbian," and she's like, "Oh, I guess I am." Like,
no, she has that moment.
The
I'm a
system
homosexual.
Yeah, I'm a lesbian. She starts crying and she's like, "Oh fuck!" Because again, like in the you know the heteronormative society, it's your that's like not what she's supposed to do. That's her family's very Christian. They're like, "Do you enjoy making out with your boyfriend?" And she's like, "No." And then she has that moment right after where he just like max on her like super hard, and she's like, ugh.
I hate when they do that.
Yeah, she's like, and like, why? I think it's fun. And she's like, maybe he's not doing it right then. Like, why am I not enjoying this? Like, it's maybe it's, you know, maybe it's me or him. That like that. Sorry.
I did like the color design was another thing that I really noticed, especially at the
and the
beginning
costume
of
design.
yeah,
That
at the
house
beginning
felt
of the
like
film.
Pee-wee's Playhouse. Like,
Yeah.
It was so, like, absurd in its look.
Yeah, that plays into the absurdity, right, of it being like a little bit like so over the top. Like they go into the house, it's completely like solid, everything's pink, all the boy stuff is blue because like as it should be, and it goes into like the different steps as they're breaking it down, as they're learning their gender like roles, right, where they're like, okay, as a girl girl, you're cleaning. You're,
my God.
you're learning how to be a
And
mother.
they-
I think one of
had
the
that from the
funniest
beginning.
moments is when the instructor's like, "Here is a happy family," and it's like the most 1950s shit you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And like the woman's in like the fucking like cleaning uniform, and
Yeah.
the husband's like sitting on the couch.
Yeah, as a woman, you're supposed to make your husband happy. Like, you know, this is what you're supposed to do as the woman.
Well, like in the scene where her family, I think, what was the guy that RuPaul played? in the movie?
I don't know.
He was an
What was his name?
instructor.
What was his name? Well, when his character,
Mike.
when Mike comes in and he's like, "Hey, I'm from this camp. Your family called me because we're gonna help you because you're a lesbian."
Yeah, his
And-
shirt says
yeah.
straight is great.
Yeah, straight is great.
And he says, "I used to be a homosexual too."
Well, and that's something I noticed throughout the film is that the only time when you saw people wearing bright colors or unique colors, they were all people who were gay or lesbian. And especially in that scene where they're in the house, everybody, and this also follows from the school scene where she's wearing a bright flowery dress and everybody else is kind of wearing dull muted colors or wearing sport uniforms because that's what's socially acceptable. And is kind of portraying that idea that, the uniqueness that she has is what's the problem more so than...
Yeah, or
Yeah,
that's how
It's like an anime.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's how they feel it. They're just
Yeah.
like, oh, what's wrong? Like, she they stand out, right?
Yeah.
I love the casting of RuPaul too as the instructor.
He's really
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
he does a great job.
That was
Yeah.
great casting, I think. He's I love that both the instructors, the people who are trying to correct them and fix them, right, quote unquote, they're both obviously gay. They're like recovering gays. They're like, yeah, no, it's like, don't you ever you look at a woman in a tight dress and you're sitting on her nice legs and she's like, yeah, and then RuPaul just being like, why are you looking at that man, wanting something you can't have. It's just like all that just repressed sexuality. They're just like, oh God, and it's just like, it goes also again to the ridiculousness of those camps where it's like you take a bunch of these boys and girls who are just trying to deal with their sexuality
And put them all together.
Yeah, put them all together where they're all with each other. They can hang out and they're dealing with their teen, bubbling
their
sexual hormones.
and-
Yeah.
How do you think that's going to turn out?
Yeah.
Terrible.
This movie's really funny. I was surprised at how funny a lot of it was.
Mhm.
It's
very clever.
There's parts that are really deadpan too, where it's just characters talking, and it's like, what the fuck are they even saying? It's just, I don't know. I like the son of the lady that runs the thing. He's like,
Oh, yeah.
and he's just wearing the most
Obviously
provocative,
gay.
Yeah.
Oh, when
Yeah.
they're... What do you call it? Simulating intercourse or
Oh
whatever.
my God.
And the mom's
Dude.
talking about it.
I didn't
and
even want to
he-
watch it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was so
It's
It
uncomfortable.
was so
It is.
uncomfortable.
He's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
the woman, the man begins to thrust, and he's just like this
It-
robot.
and then
He
looks
starts
up
doing
and says-
push-ups. He starts doing push-ups on top of her.
And she's like, "Very good, son."
He's like, "Mom."
Yeah, there's a lot of those uncomfortable moments, and I think
Yeah.
it works so.
Yorgos Lanthimos.
Yeah, it's very apt because again, you're dealing with a lot of these awkward moments, much like Moonlight, right? Where
Yeah.
they're dealing with this sexuality, and they're just like, I don't know, is this? Yeah, this is I guess what I'm supposed to be doing, but just does not feel right.
Mhm.
Do you guys have so what do you think about the themes in this movie? Right, a lot of just denying yourself and trying to fit into the mold.
This movie had themes. I thought they were just, kind of winging it.
I mean, I guess we could go into some of the issues of this movie. I think, I know I liked it, but there were definitely some things lacking.
I don't know. I think if you want to talk themes, it's like basic satire. But it is, like Jason said, it is very clever. It's mostly just like I said, my take on it is more so this is the ridiculous conservative view of gay people. They are all the most stereotypical views on homosexuality you could possibly have.
Yeah.
And they kind of, as Miles said earlier before we were recording, they kind of flip it. One of my favorite moments is actually when the very masculine girl is like, I'm not even gay.
Yeah.
Why am I? She's
Yeah.
like, why am I here? Like, I'm not gay. So
It's
what?
like, I like cock.
Yeah.
No, she says, I want a big wiener in
Oh.
me. Get your facts right.
Oh, my bad.
But I like that. That's a really good subversion where she's like, I'm not even gay. I'm just masculine. What do you want?
Yeah.
That is one thing it did really well, is it brought to light a lot of gay stereotypes, or, at least, it was made in 99, and I think they were trying to portray, back in the 60s with a lot of the cultural values and stuff. So they were bringing up a lot of stereotypes about, oh yeah, if you're, not working on cars and you're a little bit effeminate, that makes you gay. If you don't want to clean your house and make dinner for your husband, that makes you a lesbian. They were bringing a lot of that stuff up and then subverting it at the same time by pointing out, hey, like, that's not what makes you gay.
Yeah.
It's how you feel
We're
inside.
talking about their root moment.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. When they're all sitting together, even with the parents.
What did she say? Like, oh, my dad wasn't working at the time, so that must have inspired me to get the right idea.
It's like, yeah, maybe it was because my mom, she had to start working for a while, and then they're like, oh yeah, that could have definitely been it. Like,
and then the dad just in the corner.
And she's like, no, I really don't think that's it. She's like, we just found your root, like just forcing it onto her, and she's like, that's not it. Like,
yeah, it's like, I don't know what it is. It's like it's just there. Like, I don't know why.
Yeah.
I like the again, like a lot of the set design stuff, like jokes here and there. A lot of things looked like vaginas. A lot of things looked like penises. Just like the two soldiers and the cutouts, like when they're trying to make war, right? And they're running around and the soldiers standing over the other dude with the gun.
Before I forget, I'd like to point out this gets points for having Prince Zuko in it. And not only does it have Prince Zuko in it, but you also get to hear Prince Zuko say, I'm a homosexual.
So I was actually, when they introduced him, I was answering a text message, and, I had it on in the background. And I hear him start talking, and I was like, what the hell? Because he's got such a recognizable voice. And I was like, holy shit, that's Dante Bosco.
Yeah.
I love Dante Bosco's voice.
Yeah,
it's probably just because I love anything with Dante Bosco.
Well, he's got a very unique voice. Like, you can recognize it whenever you hear it.
It's been so long since I've been home. I wonder how I've changed. I wonder how it's changed.
That is not even close.
That's from Avatar. Yeah, I can't do it.
No, I think he's really fun. There's not too much to say, I think, about the shot composition or really a lot of that.
I do like the aesthetic it creates, but that's more through set dressing.
Yeah, that's the set dressing, the design, the costuming and stuff that was done, I think, pretty well. Obviously, very intentional to keep that style. I think where it could have been better is better shots, better a little more intentional camera movements perhaps. A lot of it did seem very flat at times. Which I think was also I guess that could be very intentional too, because there's moments where it just looks so staged, especially when they're going around their the heteronormative roles and stuff. They look clearly like they're just moving robotically, doing what they're quote unquote supposed to be doing, right? So that was
Honestly,
done. But
I think that may have been kind of the point. They're supposed to look unnatural in that environment.
So
that's not who they are.
Half the time to me, it felt like the whole camp that they were at wasn't trying to cure them being gay. It was just trying to show them how to pretend to not be and blend into society, which was really weird because they were saying, oh yeah, we're going to cure you of being gay, but they were just oh no, we're actually just trying to cover up all this stuff that makes people think that you are.
Well, yeah, because I think that's the reality of those camps, right? Because you can't cure anyone of being gay.
Well,
that's not something you can just
I think the head of the camp was trying to cure people of being gay.
Well, yes, but
she believes.
But she was going through it in a very backwards way.
Cure her son.
Yeah.
Well, you can't cure homosexuality, Jason.
I'm well aware.
But I think that's a part of what they're showing is and ultimately with those camps, what they're really doing is just forcing people to suppress themselves and to pretend like they're something that they're not. Which again, they showed the ridiculousness of that, the absurdity of trying to not do that or trying not to be gay, which is ridiculous. There's a lot of the pacing of this film I think was done mostly okay. I enjoyed more, I think, the first half of the film.
I agree.
That's where I think it was strongest. Them in the camp, the introduction of her, being introduced in this world and really discovering even like what sexuality is in general, like what this is, like oh wow, this feels where like they're trying to introduce to her like what like the heteronormity is and everything, and her just like stepping into this whole other world, right? That's just so kind of foreign from herself, but true to herself. When she's actually hanging out with other gay people and she's actually able to express her own feelings and emotions.
Yeah, it backfired on the camp.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's probably what happens. Well, I don't know. Actually, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's they flipped even a lot of like the real darker stuff, which is like the electric shock therapy.
I wanted to bring that up because I remember when it got to that point in the movie, I was thinking they start talking about it. I'm like, oh shit, this is where the movie's gonna get real. But it was still just a joke, and it was kind of funny.
Yeah,
but she's like masturbating with the fucking
the little shocker.
Yeah, she's like, I like pain. And then later she's just like shocking herself. It's really funny.
And then they kind of also started using it. Her and what was the other girl's name that she had the crush on?
Graham.
Yeah, her and Graham. They kind of started using the little shocker thing to signal to each other that they were thinking of each other. Like you saw that in a couple scenes. I thought that was really interesting that she would squeeze the thing, not necessarily shock herself, but it would make the little sound like to signal to Graham.
Everything backfires. It seems like.
Yeah. Oh my god. I just kind of mentioned that end scene right there where she's cheerleading. She is the worst cheerleader of all time.
If there's anything I hate about this movie, it's the ending.
Yeah.
I agree.
I wish there was more closure for the other kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
I wish there was more closure in general. Like,
it does feel like it just kind of flounders at the end there. Just very like it felt a little melodramatic, and not melodramatic, but like a little just like just like kind of slapped together. Like I don't know. It's like we need an ending to this. I don't really know what to do. I think
they just put a bunch of benches down and was like, it's a graduation.
I thought that was kind of a funny idea though. It's like, I now present to you heterosexuals.
Yeah, that was funny. But like, I don't know, her coming out and like doing a stupid cheer, and then they both run off, get into the back of a truck, and they just drive off, and then that's the end. I was like, it was a letdown. Yeah, it was a big letdown.
It felt like pretty generic. Like you knew exactly where the movie was headed. I think. Like I mean, when they introduced Graham, I was like, oh, so that's the chick she's gonna end up with.
Yeah,
right. Like they're the one she doesn't like her. She's gonna win her over. Okay, and I think that's a lot of like those are like the weak points for me, where I was like, okay, like it didn't feel as creative as a lot of what the rest of the movie kind of was feeling like a little more funny and kind of clever.
Right. Yeah, I would say for each character, they did a very good job of showing what they had to overcome to, come out of the closet. And, because, like, for Graham, it was like, oh, yeah, my parents are not going to put me in their trust fund or whatever, or send me off to college.
They're, like, the worst parents.
Yeah. No, and they aren't supportive of at all. And, like, half the parents are like, oh, yeah, if you don't come back straight, you're not coming back at all. And, there was a lot of stuff like that where I feel like a lot of kids who are coming out, that's stuff that they worry about dealing with all the time. And I think that they presented that in a really good manner. So that is one kudos that I will give to this movie.
Yeah. It's I think it does have those moments too where like that scene where they're all together with their parents. That was probably the most like real moments for me, where like they are talking and their parents are just like flinching at everything, and they're just
none of them get it at all.
Yeah, they just don't get it. They're from a different world. They just don't understand. They're not trying to at all. Obviously, they're putting them in this camp. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was like probably the most real thing that real LGBTQ plus people have to deal with, and that's just like a terrifying notion of dealing with the direct rejection from your family and them just like not accepting you at all. That's terrifying.
Yeah. One other thing I really didn't like about this movie was the way that Graham and Megan's relationship evolves. Yeah. Like, it felt kind of rushed, like kind of out of nowhere. Like, they really didn't have anything going on up until Megan walks out and like she finds those the two guys like making out. Yeah. And then she rats on them. And then right after that scene, that's when Graham like starts touching her and like getting close. I'm like, why is this happening now?
Yeah,
like, it feels like she just betrayed everyone here.
Yeah.
It felt strange to me. It didn't work.
I think like I agree. Those moments felt like pretty out of place. Like there should have been a little bit more of like her trying to like win them over or something. Like it felt like there should have been more consequence to her ratting out the other people. Like
absolutely.
This is like a really tough thing for them, right? They're trying to just squeeze in those little moments of like of love between each other or whatever, and she just completely undermined all of them. So I thought it was going to go more into like this.
She's going to be rejected by them.
Yeah, and then she would have to deal with that and, basically learn to accept herself more. But no, it just jumps into the romance story, which I was like,
that really did surprise me. Like, she was the one that ratted those two guys out. And, everybody in the camp is struggling with, these emotions that they're going through.
Yeah.
And they didn't really portray it at all. Like, she was being completely rejected by the rest of the group because of that. And they obviously knew that she was the one.
They had, like, a small moment where they're at the table.
They did talk about it.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, that bitch, whatever.
Moment,
like, she's like, oh, like, she ratted us out. That sucks. And then they move on.
Yeah, and then everything's fine from there on out.
Which is weird because, that's the perfect opportunity for them to present a character who has a real conflict with her about this, if not all the characters, and for her to try to overcome that in order to, get back into this group of people and through that discover who she really is. And they could have gone that direction, but they didn't. And I was sad about that because that's where I thought, that's where they're going to take the film from here.
Yeah.
She's going to use this moment to help her realize, hey, I'm not actually grossed out by that. It's just the way that society's trained me. And, I can open up and be the real me because she realizes that, but unfortunately they didn't do that.
Yeah, there's like, of course, the central conflict of her trying to accept her sexuality and everything, but it did feel like there was like something else really missing, like substantial from this movie that just wasn't there.
And it's more so, I think, trying to be fun. It's kind of, like I said, it's taking a terrible situation and making it this like campy fun movie. I think it's supposed to be cathartic in that regard. This isn't like for example, I know that Joel Edgerton made a movie called Boy Erased, which is like the serious version of this movie, where it's about a boy who gets sent to like a conversion camp. But that one is more like, I actually haven't seen it, but from what I understand, it's pretty intense.
But from a plot standpoint, there weren't really many plot moments from what I saw. It was a lot of set pieces. The set pieces.
A lot of montages.
The montages.
They were kind of jumping from joke to joke, which again, it's a satire, so I get that. But there was definitely
good
that
satire.
Missing.
What good satire does is it takes a concept and then it fleshes out a plot, and then it uses that plot in order to highlight different moments in a satirical manner. This seems like they were just making joke after joke after joke about stereotypes of this is, what's happening at these camps and, yada, yada, yada. But they didn't really ever nail down what a good core plot would be.
Yeah, that's fair. I felt like, that's one of the things that's missing for sure. There's issues throughout the movie. Overall, I think it was fun. It could have probably been like, I don't know, like 20 minutes shorter. Or if it was going to be longer, like, again, it's just like, fill out the story.
Flesh everything out a bit more.
Each of the kids, I would have loved to like learn more about them. Like Dante Basco's character, Dolph, even Mike, like RuPaul's character. Like I'd like to see how he ended up there. Like I think it could have used a little bit more like seriousness.
I think it's. I get it. I think it's doing what it wants to do pretty well. It's just a little fun movie. Like I said. It is really funny.
Yeah. All right. Do you guys have any like favorite moments or like standout scenes or anything?
The gay intervention.
The intervention scene.
We're a little worried about you. What's the main character's name?
Megan.
Megan, we're a little worried about you. We're worried you might be a homosexual. She's like, what?
I don't understand.
And then
she's like, what does that word mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I found it
Jason,
really funny.
Your moment.
Any standout moments? I really can't think of any. Maybe I kind of liked when the kids went out and they went to the cocksucker.
Oh my god! I'm sorry.
Hold on.
Okay.
I just liked seeing them, be themselves and not have to deal with any of that bullshit. It was nice to see. And that was a good moment for Graham and Megan's relationship. I felt like that worked really well.
Yeah. It was one of the most like just organic, like natural feeling.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look, they're progressing. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Miles?
So my favorite moment would be when Megan and Dante Bosco have both been kicked out of the camp. And they're staying at the two gentlemen who also took them to the cocksucker.
Larry and Lloyd.
Yeah, Larry and Lloyd. Staying at their house. And Larry and Lloyd are kind of having this little spat with each other, argument. And hey, it's just like a normal relationship right there. I thought that was very important to highlight. That these two guys, and both of them, they pass for being masculine, right? So they meet all the criteria and standards, really, that the camp is setting out to put in place, but they've come to realize that they're now ex-gays, and they're kind of educating these kids on.
They're just regular people.
Yeah, they're just regular
right.
people, and it's nice to see that because I didn't see enough regular people in this movie. It seemed like everybody was blown out of proportion and stuff. And those guys seemed really good.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I'd say probably my favorite moments were I think just like a lot of the montage sequences of again them just showing the absurdity of like the camp and stuff, and like they're like the moments where they're trying to like teach them this is how you're supposed to be, and even though it's not, like that just I feel like that was fun. That was probably the part of the movie where I was the most entertained, and I was like I got like the central premise of it and everything else. Yeah.
I just wanted to bring up because you made me think of the cocksucker. I really like that scene where they're having Megan's parents over, and then like they're like, yeah, she went out and she's really breaking all the rules, and then the dad like can't even say the word cocksucker.
Yeah,
it's just like you went out to this. If you did in fact go out to this. And then, like, the woman's cocksucker. Like, the dad just literally can't even bring himself to say it. Her parents are fucking hilarious, by the way.
Yeah.
They're, like, the funniest parts when, like, they're all praying at the table. It's like, and we just pray that we can all... And she's, like, staring at Megan, find the right path in life.
They were like the perfect like embodiment of of the parents who like you could say they mean well, but it's like man they just so
they're kind of like
you could tell they definitely mean
I'm gonna say this to Jason. Sorry.
No, you go.
I know I dominate.
What are you
You
doing?
go. What is this about Lost?
Yeah. Well, actually,
no,
it's not about Lost. It's not about Lost. I was gonna say they remind me of less fleshed out and way less loveless versions of the parents from Freaks and Geeks.
Okay, yeah.
Although obviously Freaks and Geeks did that a little better, I think, but also they had more time too.
They had way more time,
and I think that was great to see the dichotomy between her parents and Graham's parents, because Graham's parents, like I think it was her dad and her stepmom, right? And her dad was like, yeah, we can't be having this, hey, you better not come back from Europe and be gay and stuff. And it's like, oh, or you aren't going to Europe or something if you don't come back and pass this camp or whatever. And it's like, geez, her parents are just like very toxic people.
Yeah, they were
absolutely.
And she came from money, right? You can obviously see that. And Megan didn't. And you see that you're getting a lot more love and support from her family. It's just oriented in the wrong direction in Megan's family. And in Graham's family, it's like, oh yeah, she's lacking love and support from her family, and they expect her to be a certain way. And it was interesting to see that.
It's definitely like they're like probably the most hateful characters. They're just like just spiteful, really, just like, god damn it, like why aren't you just this way exactly like how you're supposed to be, like
one thing I didn't like that Megan's parents did that kind of made me like, because otherwise I would have liked them a lot, was when they're like, you can't come home. I'm just like, that's not really consistent with what you've been this entire movie.
That's true.
They did add in that one little like kind of mid-credits scene.
I didn't realize.
Yeah, there's like a small little moment. It's like probably a minute into the credits.
I didn't watch the credits.
Where it's the dad, and he's at some meeting, and it says like parents of homosexuals, and he like stands up and he says, "My daughter's a homosexual.
So it's like he's coming to terms.
Yeah,
with it.
which is nice. But
Yeah.
I didn't like the fact that they're
Damn it,
like,
I'm
you
upset
can't
I
come
didn't see
home.
that.
Yeah, I will say I want to change my favorite moment. I think it was the parent teachers. I mean, parents and like their kids like all speaking and stuff. I like that one. It just it felt like
It's
the most real.
the deepest, yeah.
Yeah,
The rest of the movie's mostly satirical and funny.
yeah.
Again, I want to reiterate my least favorite moment was her trying to cheerlead at the end. It was awful.
Yeah, it was pretty
I
stupid.
like that she's like I like cheerleading. You know?
No, but
Yeah.
that
She's
cheer
like-
that she did was just like
She's bad
the
at it,
most
though.
But
cringeworthy
she's
thing
a
I have
cheerleader.
ever seen.
Is she?
Yeah.
But she's a cheerleader.
Yeah.
But is she really like?
I'm
To me,
making a
that
joke
didn't
about
seem
that.
like her being a cheerleader. It's like
Yeah.
okay, at least like if you're gonna portray this girl as being a cheerleader, at least give her like a little training in how to cheer.
Yeah, I think
You know,
that's
like it ruined it.
that just kind of adds into like the whole. I don't think. One, maybe they ran out of money,
Mhm.
or two,
Oh,
they didn't know what they were doing.
I'm pretty sure they
because
didn't
That
get much
whole
money for
ending
this.
was just so rushed and bad. Like
Yeah.
it really kind of ruined the movie for me.
I don't know
Yeah,
about ruining the movie.
I would say it
think
definitely
It left a
soured the
sour
experience.
taste in my mouth.
I don't think
Yeah,
this
exactly.
movie's really about the story.
No,
It-
yeah,
it's-
I mean,
it's-
maybe it
But
should
it's
have been.
essential to like getting the point across, and
Yeah.
it really didn't land for me at the end.
Yeah, I mean, this movie did face like a pretty uphill battle. I mean, it came out in 1999. I mean, there was like it was still pretty taboo, and it had like
Yeah.
a limited release. So
Yeah, I
and
get it.
Critics at the time really panned it as well too. But the LGBTQ community really kind of like hung on to it, and it's I think it's been turned into like a stage play and stuff, or
Mhm.
like a music. Yeah, and that's great. That's like again for the time, it's great because there wasn't much queer cinema, and there's definitely better films out there.
As Philip has said, yeah,
99.
there's so many
99.
films
Yeah.
that have done, the lesbian drama so much better.
Wasn't
Yeah,
that the...
well, I mean, I wouldn't even say this is it.
Well, okay, well, even
yeah.
like
I'm not trying
comedy
to
and stuff, but covering this concept, they've done it so much better. So
Yeah, I mean, I think again, this was supposed to be the light satirical like version of it, so it wasn't really supposed to be serious at all. But like, yeah, there have been plenty of other like copious amounts of better like movies that kind of like tackle these issues.
I was going
I-
to say, you're talking about queer cinema. I think Greg Araki's like career mostly took place in those years, and all of his movies are fucking phenomenal. We have to do a spotlight episode on him eventually.
And which are
Trigger
those?
warning. What?
Which are those?
Oh, Greg Araki. Totally Fucked Up, Nowhere, Doom Generation, Mysterious Skin, Kaboom. He also directed a stoner comedy that I wish Philip was here because it stars John Krasinski. Greg Araki directed a lot of fucking movies, and they were all like, most of them are like no budget, and you can tell, but he was still able to do a lot that's really cool. Like, I really want to talk about Totally Fucked Up at one point. It's like an hour long, and it's like made on like $5, but I don't know. I really like it. Trigger warning: look his movies up before you watch them. They're all very dark and fucked up. That's my Greg Araki speech. Sorry.
Yeah.
If we're talking about that era in queer filmmaking.
Yeah, and I think like going back to like Megan not being able to go home, or her parents, that's something that a lot of people in the community have to deal with, like at certain points with it. Like it's a very real issue where their parents are just like, nope, you know what, you can't go home. You're completely kicked out of the house. And I think again, if it was done better, it would have been way more effective.
I feel like if the movie was going to get serious at any point, that would be the time.
Yeah.
Like that should have been like a very crushing moment for her. And it should have like, I guess she does make a choice, but it like her choice should have been more like, do I hide this or do I like accept who I am? And there really wasn't that sort of moment that I think the movie really needed.
Yeah, I feel like that's the tone where like the beginning half, I think that's why I enjoyed it more because it was way more consistent.
Mhm.
And then they try to like break it up a little bit more and get somewhat more realistic and stuff, and they kind of break out of the satire a little bit later, and it was a bit jarring for me.
Yeah.
Like I was like, like maybe like they either stuck with it or again like turned up more a little bit more of the intensity.
I think it's kind of going.
I mean,
for,
that's something that.
Go what?
Yeah, you do.
Go.
I like it's kind of going for like an instructional video kind of thing. Maybe it should have just been an instructional video. like that should have just been the whole thing.
But like a parody of
like no story, just fuck it, just
Yeah, I think it would have been a really good like short film, like
Oh yeah, definitely.
like that would have been
Well,
super fun.
So back on the thing that you were saying when her parents told her, "Hey, you can't come home." That would be a very interesting point to see a huge tonal shift in the film. Go from being colorful and bright to kind of dim and dark, and she doesn't know what she's going to do. But that being said, I haven't really seen movies pull that off effectively that many times.
It's tough.
Which I think it's a beautiful concept. It's something that I personally like to see, where you go from one tone to something completely opposite because of something tragic or something jarring happening, and it just makes it hit all that much more.
Okay, so I think now's a good time to like wrap up. I'm a cheerleader. How would you guys say general feelings throughout, and like where would you rate it?
This one definitely goes in the Museum of Filmmaking History for me.
Really?
I think that it was very important.
You serious? Oh, okay.
Not at all.
I was like, you're not doing fucking The Wailing?
No, this one... Yeah, this one goes in the shit bucket for sure.
That's a little hard. That's a little
No,
hard.
I'm very critical about films. When I watched this, I mean, it was okay, but there was nothing about this movie that I felt was special at all. I felt like it was cookie cutter the whole way through. It seemed...
It's not cookie cutter.
I like it because it's not cookie cutter.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so weird.
It's very subversive and like and quirky and like fun.
It took this concept that like I'm not sure how many times it's been done before. I'm sure it's been done plenty of times in movies before it was made. But it took this like real concept of like someone struggling with their sexuality and kind of made it fun and goofy but it still got the point across in a way that I liked. Probably not as much or as well as I wanted it to, but it worked well enough for me. Sorry,
I don't know.
Yeah.
The acting just I didn't really appreciate the acting very much. I thought RuPaul did a great job, but the main character,
so funny.
no, he was amazing.
He was my favorite part of the movie.
And Dante Bosco, he was very compelling when he was explaining the story and when he was talking about stuff. No, I appreciated that. But when it came down to, especially the main character, Megan, she was just not very good. I don't know what to say. It's like...
I mean, I'm going to disagree with you. I like Natasha Lyonne. I think she played her part very well. With what she was given, I think she hit those, like, over-the-top, exaggerated, like, oh, what? Like, but I'm a
homosexual.
Yeah, but when she wasn't doing the over-the-top stuff, like, just her regular acting just seemed kind of off the whole time to me. And she seemed awkward, but not in, like... quirky, weird, awkward way that you would expect from, a comedy, but more in like just a kind of like not good feeling awkward.
Miles puts everything in the shit bucket.
Jason, what would you say?
I do put everything in the shit bucket.
Okay, what's the rating system? I don't even fucking know.
Shit bucket, shelf, museum, and then
we need a couple more.
Yeah, well, I want something between shit bucket and shelf because I definitely wouldn't buy this movie.
Just throw it in the crate.
I would watch it on IMDb TV with ads. I would do that again.
I would watch it on YouTube TV with ads. So.
Yeah, it's actually it's free without ads on YouTube right now. If you
it is?
watch it. Yeah.
Oh.
Is it?
I watched it with ads.
Dang it!
IMDb
Last week it was
Oh,
not.
no, I take that back.
Yeah.
Sorry, it does have ads on
Yeah.
YouTube.
Dumb fucking idiot.
It's also on like Tubi and Vudu and stuff. It's out there. You can watch it.
What's your rating?
I would watch it on IMDb
Okay.
TV with ads.
No, I think that it's fair. Yeah. Okay.
So you would watch it with ads?
Yeah, I'll watch it with ads.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay money to watch this again. Well,
Yeah, that's a good in between.
Yeah.
I think.
I'm a little torn. Because our rating system sucks. Because it's obviously not shit bucket.
We didn't even
and it's-
want to do ratings.
Yeah,
Why are we-
this is just a general
I
like,
know,
hey,
I know.
what would you do with
trying
this
to keep
movie?
it vague,
I know. It
Like
just-
I
it
think
just-
Like, if
Here's
somebody
why,
handed you a
though.
DVD of this tomorrow, what would you do with the DVD?
I put it.
I mean, I'll
That's
keep
the
the
thought.
DVD.
I would save it. I would save it until I found someone who I thought would like it, and I'd watch it with them.
Yeah.
Because it's okay. Here.
Okay, go.
It's obviously not shit bucket, and it's obviously not museum. I might put it on my shelf. It's hard to say.
I would say I think that the free with ads feels like a pretty good
Yeah.
rating system to put it at. Like I would definitely if it's on somewhere and I'll watch it. It's free. I'm not gonna pay for it. I'm not gonna really buy it. It's definitely not in the shit bucket for me. But yeah, I'd watch it and enjoy it like I did.
I'd
but
recommend
not going
it to
out of my
people
way.
for sure. If
Yeah,
someone
no.
asked me for like, hey, give me a weird comedy, I'd be like, here you go.
Yeah, I'm like here. This one's fun.
Yeah, but I would preface
Colorful.
it like you may not like it, and that's totally fine.
Anything I'm going to recommend to anybody is going to be prefaced with that, though.
But honestly, this movie seems more fun in the context of actually making fun of it than it does in
No, I wouldn't
actually
say
watching
that.
it.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
say I'm
It's
making fun of
intentionally
it.
very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It got a lot of genuine laughs from me.
It's-
Like I was
it's humor
chuckling
is
and laughing
extreme.
a lot.
Maybe I
Absolutely.
just don't have any comedic tendencies in me. Maybe I just don't find
You
any
put
of
everything in
this
the
dead
shit
I'm
bucket.
too serious. Yeah.
You put everything in the shit bucket.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Miles's funny bone dried up and died a long time ago.
Just wait until we watch some good movies.
All right, guys. So we wrapped it up, Moonlight. But I'm a cheerleader. I think overall this is pretty fun.
We have to talk about something bad.
Yeah, let's talk about something like real shitty next time. We haven't decided what we're gonna watch next, but
King
Something-
Kong Skull Island.
Kong Skull Island. Oh fuck, I had so much to say about that movie when I first watched it, but most of it has just dropped out of my brain. Like I just forgot. a good chunk of
I
that
feel like
movie.
we're like on week 3 of like talking about good stuff. I really want to tear something apart.
Yeah. All right, we'll tear something up next week. We'll see what that is.
We'll talk about Citizen Kane. Just kidding.
Oh, I've got some.
Oh,
some
I'm sure
real
you
big
do.
ideas about Rosebud.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you're going to put Citizen Kane in the shit bucket.
All right, guys. Thanks
think-
for
Yep.
joining in and listening in. Drop a comment. What do you guys think about these movies? Let us know.
I love you.
We
Yeah.
love you too.
And also, if you've got an idea for
you.
something for us to watch, let us know.
I love
We
you.
might do it. Probably not, but who knows?
yeah, just
Yeah.
let us
I love
know.
you.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
I love you.